Chapter 5646. You want the starry sky map to the buried god Starfield? What do you want it for? That place isn't a place you should go. If you go there, do you think you can survive? Let me tell you, there are many people who want to kill you in that place, the woman said. Lin Feng didn't deny this point. That place was indeed very dangerous. If he went there, there would be many people who wanted to kill him. After all, that place was a place where the lost races of the epoch gathered. There were many terrifying lost races of the epoch in such a place. For example, the Black Robe race, Black Mist race, and other races. They were very powerful forces in the buried god Starfield, and they had top experts guarding them. In addition, the most terrifying thing was that it was said that the mastermind behind the scenes was also active in that place. If Lin Feng went to the buried god Starfield and the news didn't spread, then it would be better. But if it spread, then he would be wanted by those big forces. Although Lin Feng's trump card was very powerful, the key was that if those big forces sent their top experts, for example, some transcendental level existences or even higher experts, then it would be too dangerous for Lin Feng. However, no matter how dangerous it was, Lin Feng had to go to the buried god Starfield. Lin Feng said, I have a very important matter to deal with in the buried god Starfield. Even if there is a slim chance of death, I must go there and take a look. The woman nodded and said, If you aren't afraid of death, then I can give you the starry sky map. She threw a jade tube to Lin Feng. After Lin Feng carefully looked at it, his face suddenly revealed an extremely excited expression. Because the starry sky map recorded in the jade tube was the starry sky map to the buried god Starfield. He finally got the starry sky map to the buried god Starfield. This way, he could continue to go to the buried god Starfield. Because of the various magnetic fields along the way, it would be very dangerous. After all, it was very easy to get lost in those magnetic fields. Fortunately, Lin Feng had the heart compass, so he didn't have to worry about getting lost in the magnetic fields. For others, this starry sky ancient path might be very difficult to cross, but for Lin Feng, it wasn't impossible. Many thanks, Senior. Lin Feng cupped his fists and said. Then Lin Feng continued. Senior, these two women have a grudge with me. Can I take them away? In fact, Lin Feng wanted Huangfu Xian and Fairy Feng Xian to become his slaves. When the time came, he would properly train them and then play a good show with them. Lin Feng couldn't wait to see the two women's expressions when they turned into slaves. That kind of extreme difference must be hard for them to accept, right? Senior, please don't hand us over to him. I beg you, Senior. Huangfu Xian begged. The woman looked at Huangfu Xian and looked at her carefully. She said in surprise, You're actually the reincarnation of the Empyrean Fairy. Huangfu Xian hurriedly nodded and said, That's right, Senior. I'm one of the 9 reincarnations of the Empyrean Fairy, but I haven't awakened some of my memories from my previous life. Please save us. The woman looked at Lin Feng and said, Back then, the Empyrean Fairy helped me. Since she's the reincarnation of the Empyrean Fairy, I can't let you take her away. I hope you can understand. Lin Feng couldn't help but feel a little regretful. However, since the woman had said so, even if Lin Feng didn't agree, there was nothing he could do. Lin Feng didn't want to completely offend this woman. Moreover, it was basically impossible to snatch him away from this woman. Lin Feng said, Then I'll take my leave. The woman nodded. Lin Feng then flew outside. Mo Ling wanted to leave with Lin Feng, but he was restrained by the woman. Evidently, this woman wouldn't let Mo Ling go so easily. Moreover, Mo Ling had been formed by fusing with Yishang's demonic will, which contained the will to kill. If Mo Ling was allowed to leave, and there was no one to restrain him, this guy would definitely become a heinous devil. It was better to let him continue to stay here. With this woman restraining him, he wouldn't become an unpardonable existence. Lin Feng smoothly walked out from the depths of the White Immortal Valley. Seeing Lin Feng come out, the beautiful woman looked extremely happy. She asked, Did you get what you wanted? Lin Feng nodded. The woman said mysteriously, I found some Dao aura in a certain place, so I went there to gain some enlightenment and obtain some powerful immortal spells and divine incantations. Do you want to go there and take a look? I can take you there to have a look." Evidently, the beautiful woman was quite excited because of this fortuitous encounter. Lin Feng thought about it and gave up on the idea. He just wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. After all, who knew if the woman would go back on her word? If she were to go back on her word, it would be too dangerous for him. Lin Feng said to the beautiful woman, "We can't stay here for too long. Let's leave quickly." The beautiful woman nodded and left the white immortal valley with Lin Feng. After they came out, the beautiful woman looked at Lin Feng and asked, "What do you plan to do next, young master?" Lin Feng said, "I plan to go to the buried god's starfield." "What do you plan to do?" The beautiful woman said, "I want to go to my homeland and build a cenotaph for my younger sister in front of my parents' graves. I hope that she can accompany them forever." Lin Feng nodded. After chatting with the beautiful woman for a while, the two parted ways. The beautiful woman looked at Lin Feng's departing figure and sighed. She withdrew her gaze and quickly flew into the distance, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Lin Feng didn't stop on the way and directly returned to his residence. When they saw that Lin Feng had returned, Du Zhu and the heretic sovereign saint were very happy. Lin Feng hadn't used any of the trump cards he had left behind. It seemed that the situation wasn't as bad as they had imagined. Du Zhu asked, "Did everything go smoothly?" Lin Feng nodded and said, "Although there were many twists and turns, it was still relatively smooth. I've already found a spatial map to the buried god's starfield. Let's rest for a day, then we'll set off tomorrow." Chapter 56-47. On the second day, Lin Feng's group of 3 set off towards the buried god's starfield along the starry sky route. The Xianyuan ancient starship quickly flew through the starry sky world. Lin Feng, Du Zhu, Evil Revered Holy, and the others were cultivating inside the Xianyuan ancient starship. Lin Feng entered the divine Tao Immortal Palace to check what was inside the 7th palace. When Lin Feng came in, he immediately discovered that there was a scroll inside the divine Tao Immortal Palace. The scroll recorded a complete meridian diagram cultivation method. After seeing the meridian diagram cultivation method, Lin Feng's face suddenly revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. In fact, Lin Feng had been thinking about cultivating the meridian diagram recently. However, Lin Feng hadn't obtained an extremely powerful meridian diagram. Therefore, this matter couldn't be realized for the time being. Of course, Lin Feng's main focus wasn't on the meridian diagram. However, if he could obtain some meridian diagrams, he could study them carefully. When he obtained a powerful meridian diagram in the future, he could choose the best meridian diagram to cultivate. Lin Feng looked at the picture of the meridians. This meridian diagram was called the chaotic meridian diagram. The chaotic meridian diagram contained all the acupoints in the human body. This made Lin Feng extremely surprised. After all, the human body had so many acupoints. An ordinary meridian diagram basically contained a portion of the acupoints. The smallest meridian diagram only contained 7 acupoints. This meridian diagram actually contained all the acupoints in the human body. If these acupoints could be connected together, then the meridian diagram formed would be terrifying. Lin Feng carefully examined it. He wanted to see the origin of this meridian diagram. However, this meridian diagram only contained the cultivation method. There was no information about its origin. Lin Feng couldn't help but feel a little regretful. If he could know the origin of this meridian diagram, then it would be even better. However, even if he didn't know the origin of this meridian diagram, it didn't matter. Obtaining the cultivation method was the most important thing. Then, Lin Feng started to meditate on the primal chaos meridian diagram. Time passed slowly like this. The ancient starship Xianyuan flew for about 5 years in the starry sky world and passed through many regions with life planets. Sometimes, they would also land on some life planets to rest. After all, Lin Feng and the others also needed to relax. Constantly traveling in the cold and desolate starry sky world was very torturous for people. After all, humans were social creatures. Anyone who had been stuck in this cold and desolate world would feel lonely. On this day, 5 years later, Lin Feng and the others arrived at the first magnetic field. The magnetic field here was very terrifying. Although they were quite far away from the magnetic field, Lin Feng and the others could still feel the terrifying aura emitted by the magnetic field. That kind of terrifying aura made Lin Feng involuntarily shocked. Soon, the Xianyuan ancient city arrived at the periphery of the magnetic field. In the starry sky world, there were many cultivators wandering around outside the magnetic field. Obviously, they knew that it was not easy to pass through the magnetic field here. Therefore, they did not immediately enter the starry sky world where the magnetic field was located. Instead, they stood outside and watched. Lin Feng's group of 3 also flew out of the ancient starship Xianyuan. Lin Feng did not intend to ride the ancient starship Xianyuan to pass through the starry sky world shrouded by the magnetic field. If they encountered any danger, they could easily destroy the ancient starship Xianyuan. The ancient starship Xianyuan had followed Lin Feng for a long time. Therefore, Lin Feng naturally did not want to see the ancient starship Xianyuan get destroyed in the starry sky world shrouded by the magnetic field. Lin Feng immediately took out the heart compass and summoned the sacred Martin Great Immortal. Then, he asked the sacred Martin Great Immortal to help him locate the magnetic field. Lin Feng hoped to borrow the sacred Martin Great Immortal's ability to pass through the starry sky world shrouded by the magnetic field. Previously, the sacred Martin Great Immortal had received many benefits from Lin Feng. Therefore, the sacred Martin Great Immortal agreed to all of Lin Feng's requests. Then, Lin Feng asked the sacred Martin Great Immortal to take a look at the starry sky route map. The sacred Martin Great Immortal memorized the starry sky route map. Then, Lin Feng and the others entered the starry sky world shrouded by the magnetic field. This starry sky world was indeed very dangerous. Along the way, Lin Feng saw many ancient ships floating in the starry sky world. Lin Feng's group of 3 boarded many ancient ships to check out the specific situation. However, they found that these ancient ships were completely empty. There was not a single person inside. Not only was there no one inside, there weren't even any corpses. This was the strangest thing. If people died, their corpses should at least exist, right? But where did the corpses go? Lin Feng's group discovered something that made their hair stand on end. Many of the things on the ancient ships were still very fresh. For example, some food, spiritual fruits, and the like. Moreover, some of the ancient ships even had boiling water on them. Some of the cups of spiritual tea still had some temperature. This made Lin Feng's group extremely puzzled. Logically speaking, many of these ancient ships should have been plundered a long time ago. But why were the things inside still so fresh? Why wasn't the fire in the furnace extinguished? Why was the spiritual tea still warm? Lin Feng had too many doubts. All of this was like an unsolved mystery. This place was simply too terrifying. No wonder it was so difficult to head to the buried god star field. This was only the first starry sky world shrouded by the magnetic field. There were still many starry sky worlds shrouded by the magnetic field. One could imagine that the starry sky world shrouded by the magnetic field would be extremely dangerous. They might even be more dangerous than this place. This was simply too terrifying. Lin Feng's group of 3 quickly traversed through the starry sky world shrouded by the magnetic field. They weren't willing to stay here for too long. The longer they stayed here, the more dangerous it would be. They hoped to quickly leave this starry sky world shrouded by the magnetic field. The heart plate was also greatly affected by this place. There were a few times where it deviated from its path. Fortunately, the sacred Martin Great Immortal's ability was extremely powerful. The sacred Martin Great Immortal fused with the heart plate. Lin Feng's group returned to the correct starry sky path time and time again. Then, they continued to traverse. However, just as they were about to leave this starry sky world shrouded by the magnetic field, Lin Feng's group of 3 encountered an extremely big problem. Lin Feng felt as if there was an invisible force rapidly spreading behind them. A gloomy and cold aura shrouded the entire starry sky world. Lin Feng didn't know where that aura came from. However, That aura made Lin Feng's soul tremble. Presumably, the unknown existence chasing after them must be extremely terrifying. Chapter 56-48. At the end of the era, many terrifying existences would appear in this world. Some of them were existences that even Lin Feng could not understand. After all, this era had already gone through 3,000 eras. Most of the experts born in these 3,000 eras had fallen in the calamities of heaven and earth time and time again. However, it did not mean that all the experts had fallen. Some of them had not fallen. For example, some experts who had entered the time reversal world had not fallen. Some experts who were hiding in a certain small world had not fallen. Some experts who were sitting at the hidden latch of life and death in a hidden place had not fallen. Some extremely powerful experts had not fallen. Usually, these terrifying existences would not appear. However, it was now the end of the era. The 4 universes were about to be destroyed. Everyone wanted to improve their cultivation as quickly as possible so that they could get through this tribulation. However, it was extremely difficult to get through this calamity. Therefore, at this time, they needed to constantly devour powerful luck and improve their own luck by devouring others' luck. In addition, they needed to seek all kinds of opportunities to improve their cultivation. They also needed to find many powerful magic treasures to improve their strength. For example, Lin Feng liked to look for ancient weapon-level treasures to improve his foundation and strength. Once the Battle of Extinction broke out, these things would play an extremely important role. There were many experts in this world, so Lin Feng did not know what kind of creature the unknown existence was. When Lin Feng tried to sense this existence, he could not find any trace of it at all. He could not find where it was hiding. This was enough to explain too many problems. Lin Feng knew that there weren't many people who had the strength of the surpassing layer in this era. However, it did not mean that there were no transcendents. There were still some transcendents. However, an existence like the Mastermind was not an expert who had completed the transcendence in this era. This led to another problem. In other words, in the previous eras, had the transcendents fallen? If they had not fallen, would they have come out at this time? There was a high probability that he would come out. 3,000 epochs had already passed in this universe. How many epochs was that? Every epoch would give birth to a group of transcendents. With their strength, it was not a problem for them to survive the Doomsday War. Since there was no problem and they were not killed by others, theoretically speaking, these existences could live until modern times. Think about it. 3,000 epochs. Every epoch would give birth to some Transcendence Realm experts. How many Transcendence Realm experts would there be when all 3,000 epochs were added together? This was definitely not a small number. Not to mention too many, at the very least, there were more than 10,000 people, right? And this group of people was the most powerful existence in the universe. As for the quasi-transcendents, there were even more of them. That was because it was truly too difficult to surpass them. However, breaking through to the quasi-transcendence realm was much easier. Although quasi-transcendence couldn't be compared to transcendence, quasi-transcendents were still extremely terrifying. They were stronger than Sage Realm experts. For example, Yu Shang's lover was still so terrifying after sleeping for such a long time. One could imagine how strong she was when she was at her peak. Lin Feng felt that the existence behind them at this moment was very likely to be a quasi-transcendence expert. An expert of this level was too terrifying. The most shocking thing was that Lin Feng felt that this existence's strength should not have dropped significantly. Generally, when one's strength dropped significantly, there would be some more serious situations. For example, being suppressed for a long time. During these years of suppression, one would not be able to absorb the energy of heaven and earth to replenish some of the nutrients needed by the body. As a result, one's cultivation level would drop significantly. Another example would be when one's body suffered some extremely serious injuries. For example, some Dao injuries that were difficult to heal, injuries to the origin, injuries to the soul, and so on. These injuries could also cause a cultivator's strength to drop significantly. In addition, if one's body weakened due to old age, one's strength could also drop significantly? Basically, these three reasons would cause a cultivator's strength to drop significantly. However, some people had extremely long lifespans like quasi-transcendence, or even transcendence. Perhaps they had already grasped some methods to extend their lifespans. This would allow them to live in a peak state for a long time. Although this method was rare, it should be possible for top experts like them to find it. Therefore, Lin Feng had no intention of fighting when he sensed the existence behind them. He directly swept up Du Zhu and the heretical sovereign saint and quickly flew forward. Lin Feng's speed was extremely fast, but so was the existence behind him. He was even faster than Lin Feng. The distance between the two sides was constantly closing. Lin Feng's expression sank slightly. The terrifying existence sneered as if he felt that he would be able to catch up to Lin Feng soon. Fortunately, Lin Feng had deep attainments in the spatial Dao. When Lin Feng used the spatial Dao, he perfectly combined the spatial Dao with his speed. Lin Feng's speed increased substantially, and he pulled a certain distance away from the unknown existence behind him. The unknown existence was obviously extremely angry. He also increased his speed crazily. A cold aura permeated between heaven and earth, as if the starry sky world was about to be frozen. Even though they were far away, Lin Feng and the other two still felt cold. This unknown existence was really terrifying. However, although he was increasing his speed, when Lin Feng's speed reached its peak, the unknown existence still couldn't catch up to Lin Feng and was left further and further behind by Lin Feng. After chasing for a long distance, Lin Feng finally shook him off completely. Lin Feng took Du Zhu and the heretical sovereign saint and successfully escaped from the starry sky world enveloped by the magnetic field. Chapter 56-49. After successfully leaving the starry sky world shrouded in the magnetic field, Lin Feng and the other two couldn't help but reveal a relieved expression. If that terrifying existence had caught up to them, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Although Lin Feng and the others had very powerful means, it would still be very troublesome for them to face a quasi-transcendent level existence. At the very least, there would be casualties. This wasn't something that Lin Feng wanted to see. After Lin Feng and the other two successfully came out of the starry sky world shrouded in the magnetic field, that unknown and terrifying existence didn't chase them out of the starry sky world shrouded in the magnetic field. The three of them had already expected this situation. Lin Feng felt that the other party might be afraid of something. Therefore, an existence of that level wouldn't easily leave the area shrouded in the magnetic field. Lin Feng planned to find a place to rest. During this period of time, his nerves had been tense, especially when he was traveling through the magnetic field shrouded in the starry sky world. It made him extremely nervous. No matter what he did, he had to strike a balance between work and rest. Although Lin Feng was in a hurry to rush to the buried god star field to rescue his mother, Lin Feng also knew that going to the buried god star field to rescue his mother wasn't something that could be done overnight. There were some things that couldn't be done even if one was anxious. Lin Feng summoned the Xianyuan Ancient Starry Sky ship, and then the three of them boarded the Ancient Starry Sky ship. The Xianyuan Ancient Starry Sky ship quickly flew through the starry sky world. Soon after, they saw a life planet. This life planet wasn't particularly big, but it was very lively. Many cultivators would go to this life planet to trade some items. This place was equivalent to a gathering place for cultivators. Lin Feng and the other two arrived at this life planet. They stayed here for about 10 days and had a good rest. Lin Feng didn't cultivate during these days. He tried to relax as much as possible. This kind of rest that allowed him to completely release himself was extremely effective for his recovery, especially for his spirit. During these 10 days, Lin Feng recovered quite well. His condition had reached about 80 to 90% of his peak state. Lin Feng planned to leave this life planet tomorrow and continue to the buried god star field. But on this night, Lin Feng felt something wrong. This was because he felt a devil power. This devil power was very similar to the aura of the Great Devil Yu. The Great Devil Yu belonged to the top ancient devil race. This devil race was extremely terrifying. Of course, the Great Devil Yu's race was just one of the top devil races. There were some top devil races that weren't weaker than the Great Devil Yu's race. Before Lin, the Great Devil Yu, and now the Great Devil Yu's Great Devil Yu. Now, the Great Mou was Lin Feng's slave. Even though she was just a slave, she was Lin Feng's woman now. Lin Feng wanted to see if he could cooperate with the Great Devil Realm through the Great Devil Yu. In the future, Lin Feng planned to go to the Devil Realm to subdue it. However, this matter wouldn't be easy to succeed. This was because the Devil Realm was very chaotic. Subduing the Devil Realm was an extremely difficult matter. But since Lin Feng had the Devil Lord token, he still had some confidence in subduing the Devil Realm. Although this ancient devil aura was very similar to the Great Devil Yu's aura, Lin Feng didn't know the identity of the other party. Lin Feng quickly woke up Du Zhu, the evil revered saint, and they flew out of their residence. Then, they saw an endless black fog rolling. Inside the black fog, they didn't know what kind of existence was inside. At this time, a cold voice was suddenly heard. Devil swallows the heavens. After the voice was heard, the darkness seemed to want to swallow the entire planet. Lin Feng felt that the situation had become very bad. He didn't dare to stay here any longer. He quickly used his space travel and brought Du Zhu, the evil revered saint, and quickly left the planet. They arrived at the starry sky outside. Then, Lin Feng and the others saw that the life planet they were on before was swallowed up. There were about 1 billion people on that planet, and there were people of all races. But now, all of them had been devoured. This situation was too tragic. Lin Feng didn't know if anyone else had managed to escape, but Lin Feng had the feeling that no one else had managed to escape. The others were probably all dead. After swallowing the planet, the black smoke turned into a strong cultivator in black clothes. That strong cultivator released an extremely evil qi. Lin Feng couldn't help but be afraid of that kind of qi. It was definitely a terrifying cultivator. Moreover, Lin Feng discovered that this person seemed to have the bloodline of the ancient devil race and the black fog race. Lin Feng could easily determine the bloodline of the black fog race. This was because the aura of the black fog race had been deeply imprinted in Lin Feng's mind. No matter how well they hid their aura, Lin Feng could still sense it. Unless they were far stronger than Lin Feng or had some extremely special means to hide their aura, Lin Feng wouldn't be able to sense the aura of the black fog race. However, the existence in front of him didn't hide its aura at all. Therefore, Lin Feng didn't even need to sense it carefully. He only needed to sense a little to determine what kind of background this person had. After swallowing a planet, this terrifying existence looked like it hadn't had enough. Its cold eyes looked at Lin Feng and the others in the starry sky world. Although there was a long distance between them, Lin Feng could still see the dense killing intent in its eyes. This terrifying existence didn't expect anyone to be able to escape after being swallowed by it. However, it didn't take Lin Feng and the others seriously. After sensing the powerful fate contained in Lin Feng's body, this terrifying existence showed a shocked expression. Then, it became excited. It quickly flew towards Lin Feng. Obviously, it saw Lin Feng as prey. Chapter 5650. Lin Feng raised an eyebrow at the sight of this terrifying existence flying over. He did not leave, because Lin Feng was a bold and powerful person. How could he leave so easily? If this person was really courting death, Lin Feng did not mind sending him to hell. Soon, the devil flew over and looked at Lin Feng coldly. Why didn't you run? Lin Feng replied indifferently. Why should I run? The devil laughed and said, Looks like you're very confident in yourself. However, it's indeed rare to see someone with such great luck. I'm sure you have some tricks up your sleeve. But even if you do, so what? You can't even withstand a single blow from me. Killing you won't be difficult for me. You think too highly of yourself. Lin Feng shook his head. We'll know after the battle whether or not he thinks too highly of himself. The devil sneered. Then, he opened his palm and slapped at Lin Feng. Lin Feng's expression was cold. Without fear, he met the devil's attack with his palm. Bang! Both sides attacked. They collided fiercely. Terrifying energy ripples spread out in all directions. The collision between the two sides caused too much damage to the void. The surrounding void was shattered, and dense cracks appeared in it. After this collision, Lin Feng did not manage to gain the upper hand. In fact, he was even suppressed. This devil was truly terrifying. Lin Feng was extremely shocked. However, the devil was also extremely shocked. Although he had gained the upper hand, he was unable to cause too much damage to Lin Feng. He had a clear understanding of his own strength. How tyrannical was his strength! To think that he couldn't suppress this human. Furthermore, this human cultivator was clearly extremely young. To think that he would have such a cultivation base at such a young age. This was something that he found inconceivable. However, he soon revealed an extremely excited expression. The stronger Lin Feng was, the more extraordinary Lin Feng was. If he could devour Lin Feng, he would gain even more benefits. From the beginning to the end, the demon had absolute confidence in his own strength. In his eyes, Lin Feng was no different from a dead man. In the end, he would only become his nourishment. After eating you, I'll gain even more benefits than eating all the living beings on 100 life planets. The devil sneered. After saying that, the devil charged at Lin Feng again. He wanted to kill Lin Feng quickly and eat him. He was also worried that Lin Feng would run away. However, Lin Feng had no intention of escaping. Lin Feng sneered. You want to deal with me with your strength? You're still far from it. Lin Feng waved his hand and summoned the Book of the Undead. There were 56 undead in the Book of the Undead. They were all Sage Realm undead. Among the 56 Sage Realm undead, there was even a 7th Heaven Sage Realm undead. With so many powerful undead working together and Lin Feng, wouldn't it be easy to deal with this devil? Actually, if they fought one-on-one, Lin Feng wouldn't necessarily lose. Lin Feng was at a disadvantage just now, but Lin Feng still had many powerful techniques that he hadn't used yet. For example, he hadn't activated the 5 great ancient weapons. For example, he hadn't used the ruler's armor, sacred bone, the magic lotus, Pangu's mark, the golden dwarf, and the stone golem clone. If he used all kinds of techniques, his battle prowess would increase exponentially. However, he didn't need to use these trump cards to deal with this devil. He could just use the simplest method. The simplest method was naturally to use the undead in the Book of the Undead to deal with this devil. 56 specters spread out and surrounded the demon. Some time ago, Lin Feng had created a combination attack for the 56 devils. Using the combination attack would greatly increase the battle prowess of the undead. It was an extremely terrifying technique. Lin Feng couldn't help but praise himself for being a genius. He had actually created such a powerful combination attack. However, the 56 undead spirits had never had the opportunity to use the joint attack technique. This time, they finally had the opportunity to use it. They could test the power of the joint attack technique by dealing with the demon in front of them. After seeing the 56 undead, the devil's expression finally changed. The corner of his mouth twitched. Clearly, he hadn't expected Lin Feng to have such a technique. That treasure of yours is the legendary Book of the Undead, the devil said with a gloomy expression. The devil had actually recognized Lin Feng's undead technique. Lin Feng sneered. That's right. This treasure of mine is indeed the undead technique. With 56 undead under my control and myself included, do you think you can still escape today? After Lin Feng said that, the undead began to use the combination attack. A terrifying aura surged out from the bodies of the 56 undead spirits. Boom! 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 Terrifying attacks were brewing. 56 dead spirits attacked this demon. All sorts of terrifying attacks bombarded the devil. Under the joint attack of the 56 undead, the devil was immediately suppressed. Although his cultivation was very strong, it was difficult for him to pose too much of a threat to the 56 undead who had mastered the joint attack technique. The devil was extremely angry and sullen. Despite his powerful cultivation, he couldn't fully display his cultivation when surrounded. He looked furiously at Lin Feng and said, "You don't even have the courage to fight me alone?" Lin Feng smiled coldly. "Why would I want to fight against you alone? I like fighting in groups," the devil said coldly. "Fighting in groups is just an excuse you use to comfort yourself. You're actually a coward," Lin Feng said. "Let me put it another way. I like fighting in groups, but it's you fighting all of us alone." The devil gnashed his teeth when he heard Lin Feng's words. Did this guy take him for a fool? How dare he tease him like this? The devil wanted nothing more than to tear Lin Feng to pieces. However, he also knew that he was in a very bad situation. Lin Feng had 56 undead, and they knew how to combine attacks. Lin Feng hadn't even made a move yet. If Lin Feng made a move, the devil's situation would be even worse. Thus, the devil didn't want to continue fighting the undead. He wanted to break out of the encirclement, find some experts, and work together to kill Lin Feng. Chapter 56-51. How could Lin Feng let this devil go so easily? Under the attacks of the 56 departed spirits, the devil was greatly suppressed. Lin Feng knew that this devil must have some powerful methods, such as desperate measures. After all, the devil race often had terrifying methods, so Lin Feng didn't want to give this devil any chance to resist. While the 56 departed spirits were suppressing the devil, Lin Feng attacked. Lin Feng summoned the door of everlasting life. The door of everlasting life descended from the sky and oppressed the demon. The 56 undead spirits were suppressing the demon, but the demon couldn't move at all. Facing the suppression of the gate of everlasting life, the devil couldn't do anything. He couldn't deal with the gate of everlasting life. Bang! A loud sound rang out. The gate of everlasting life fiercely suppressed the devil. In an instant, the devil was suppressed in the void. "Let me go! Let me go!" The devil roared furiously. An endless devil chi surged out of his body. He wanted to resist, but the gate of everlasting life was too powerful. When the gate of everlasting life suppressed him, he couldn't resist at all. Lin Feng coldly looked at the devil and said, "Don't try to struggle, you can't break free. Now let me search your soul and see what you have in your memories." After saying that, Lin Feng arrived in front of the devil. The devil roared furiously. "Do you know who I am? Do you know what kind of power I have behind me? If you dare to search my soul and do anything to harm me, you're dead." Lin Feng couldn't help but sneer. He didn't care about the devil's threat at all. Lin Feng opened his hand and directly grabbed the devil's head, then used the soul search technique on the devil. Countless scenes appeared in Lin Feng's mind. It turned out that this devil was a devil from the ancient Chaos era. During the ancient Chaos era, some ancient devils joined forces with otherworldly beings and lost races to create chaos. At that time, the ancient Chaos Great Emperor suppressed this rebellion. And this devil was one of the ancient devils from back then. His identity was indeed not simple. In the past, he was also a terrifying existence. At his strongest, he was a master who surpassed the realm of cultivation. However, because he was suppressed for many years, his cultivation dropped drastically. The end of the epoch was in turmoil. Many seals were opened. This devil broke the seal and saw the light of day again. This guy came to the starry sky world and continuously devoured powerful cultivators to improve his cultivation. In the beginning, he only devoured cultivators. But later on, he started devouring life planets. One life planet after another was devoured by him. It could be said that this guy was simply a heinous existence. Who knew how many living beings had died in his hands? Lin Feng naturally did not have any good impression of such an existence. Killing him 1,000 or 10,000 times would be letting him off easy. Later on, Lin Feng saw some more scenes. Due to the arrival of the end of the ancient era, many ancient devils came into being. Then, these ancient devils gathered together and formed an extremely powerful force. These ancient devils seemed to be planning something important. However, what they were planning was covered by a strange power. Lin Feng could not find out. However, Lin Feng saw a scene in this devil's memory. That scene was actually a battle between two cultivators. One of the cultivators was Lin Feng's good friend, Gong Ziyu. The other person was Gong Zhongye, Gong Ziyu's half-brother. Lin Feng remembered hearing that Gong Zhongye had fallen. It seemed like the news was not accurate. There were all kinds of fake news flying around. Lin Feng hadn't heard any news about Gong Ziyu for a long time. Now that he saw these scenes, he knew where Gong Ziyu was. He didn't expect Gong Ziyu to go to the devil realm. Gong Ziyu was a cultivator of the heavenly devil race, so it was normal for him to go to the devil realm. After all, the devil realm was the ancestral land of all devils. That place was filled with countless mysteries. Perhaps going there could greatly increase Gong Ziyu's cultivation. However, Gong Zhongye was not simple. Would Gong Ziyu be able to deal with Gong Zhongye? After reading these memories, Lin Feng slapped the devil's body. With a bang, the devil's body directly exploded, leaving behind only its source energy. Although its source energy was very powerful, it wasn't of much use to Lin Feng. Therefore, Lin Feng gave this devil's source energy to Du Zhu, an evil sovereign saint. If they refined this source energy, their cultivation would definitely increase greatly. Moreover, Lin Feng really wanted them to increase their cultivation as soon as possible. Of course, their cultivation was also increasing quite fast. They had already broken through to the true immortal realm. Although they weren't like Lin Feng, who could cross many realms to challenge people. However, crossing 1 or 2 realms wasn't a problem. If they could reach the Golden Immortal or Saint Immortal realm, they might be able to compete with Saint Immortal realm experts. Lin Feng summoned the Xianyuan Ancient Starry Sky ship. Then, the 3 of them continued to travel along the ancient Starry Sky path. About half a year later, Du Zhu, an evil sovereign saint, came out of seclusion. They had obtained great benefits from this seclusion. Du Zhu, an evil sovereign saint, were about to break through. The 2 of them summoned their lightning tribulation. Lin Feng stood in the distance and watched them go through their tribulation. About a month later, Du Zhu, an evil sovereign saint, succeeded. The 2 of them broke through to the Dao Immortal realm. The ancient Starry Sky ship continued to travel in the Starry Sky world. Chapter 56-52. Among the 3,000 great worlds, there were quite a few that had been destroyed in the Great Wars. At present, it was already quite good that there were 2,000 great worlds left. However, this universe was so vast that it was almost impossible for a cultivator to traverse the entire universe in their lifetime. Even Lin Feng had only been to a limited number of great worlds, that's all. The great world in front of him was definitely an extraordinary one. Lin Feng could sense that it contained an incredible amount of energy. Different great worlds contained different amounts of energy. For example, the Undying World was ranked first among the 3,000 great worlds. It had already reached the level of a half-higher plane. It contained terrifying amounts of energy. The world's core was also extremely powerful. The great world in front of him couldn't compare to the Undying World. However, it was still no small matter. "Which great world is this?" asked Lin Feng. Du Zhu and the evildoer saint shook their heads. They also didn't know which great world this was. After all, they had never been here before. At this time, the demon lord transmitted to Lin Feng. "This great world is the legendary Great Great World." Great Great World? Lin Feng was startled. He hadn't expected it to be this great world. The Great Ancient Emperor was one of the strongest experts of the human race in this epoch. Of course, Lin Feng had some connection with the Great Ancient Emperor's bloodline. Back then, Lin Feng had saved the Great Ancient Emperor's daughter, Little Yao Yao, in the banished Great World. Back then, the Great Ancient Emperor had died while suppressing a rebellion. Before he died, he had sealed Little Yao Yao, and she had only been born after countless years. Little Yao Yao's fate was full of misfortune. Later, the Great Ancient Emperor's people had come to take her away. Back then, Little Yao Yao had invited Lin Feng to visit her family as a guest. Lin Feng had agreed. At that time, Lin Feng was only in his teens. He did not know what he would become in the future. Would he be able to leave the Sky Martial continent? More than 200 years had passed, and Lin Feng had already become an overlord. Unintentionally, he had come to the Great Yin world. This brought back many memories of Lin Feng. He wondered how little Yao Yao was doing. When Lin Feng saw little Yao Yao, she was only 3 or 4 years old. She was very cute. Now that so many years had passed, she must have become a peerless fairy. Thinking of this, Lin Feng could not help but smile. Perhaps he could go to the lunar great world to take a look now. I wonder how the lunar ancient emperor's lineage is doing now. Lin Feng could not help but mutter to himself. Lin Feng only remembered that this tribe was extraordinary. Besides the lunar ancient emperor, there was another ancient emperor in this tribe. Although it might not be at the level of the Great Yin ancient emperor, it was still extremely terrifying. The lunar ancient emperor's lineage had 2 emperors. It was very rare. The emperors here were not great emperors. They were existences equivalent to ancient sacred emperors of the human race. At the very least, they had to be at the peak of the sage realm, or beyond, to be qualified to be called sacred emperors. That was why this lineage had been extremely prosperous back then. Even now, this lineage was extremely powerful. The ancient starship Xianyuan sped up and soon arrived at the starry sky world where the Great Yin world was located. Countless cultivators and ancient starships gathered from all directions outside the Great Yin world and flew towards the Great Yin world. A planet on the level of a great world would cover a large starfield. The great world was usually the core of the starfield. That was why countless cultivators in the starfield would gather there. The Xianyuan ancient starship quickly flew into the lunar great world. After arriving, Lin Feng put the ancient starship away. The area they were in was a vast and boundless sea. Lin Feng and the other 2 chose a direction and quickly flew towards it. They wanted to find a place to settle down first. After about 3 days, Lin Feng saw a huge island appear in the sea. The island was boundless, just like a continent. Many ancient starships sailed towards the island from all directions. Many ancient starships were sent by countries from the secular world to the sea region in search of immortal pills. Lin Feng and the other 2 landed on the island. There were many people coming and going on the island. It was very lively. They could feel the prosperity of this great world from here. Lin Feng planned to find a place to stay first before looking for information about the lunar ancient emperor's lineage. They found a place to stay. Then they went out for a good meal. Then they went to the place where they were looking for information. They were in a trading company looking for information about the lunar ancient emperor's lineage. The deacon who served Lin Feng and the other 2 heard that Lin Feng and the other 2 were looking for information about the lunar ancient emperor's lineage. Suddenly, he was startled. The deacon said, "Young master, you must be a foreign cultivator, right?" Lin Feng nodded and asked in surprise, "How do you know that we are foreign cultivators?" "Because only foreign cultivators dare to ask about the lunar ancient emperor's lineage. Cultivators from the lunar great world would never dare to ask about the lunar ancient emperor's lineage because the lunar ancient emperor's lineage is taboo in the lunar great world." After hearing the deacon's words, Lin Feng could not help but frown slightly. He felt that this matter was not as simple as it seemed. When Lin Feng met the lunar ancient emperor's lineage, the lunar ancient emperor's lineage was still very powerful. Logically speaking, such a force should still be very powerful now. Why did it become taboo? Lin Feng felt that this matter was not as simple as it seemed. Therefore Lin Feng asked, "Could it be that something happened? I really can't tell young master much about this matter. Moreover, I advise young master not to talk about the lunar ancient emperor's lineage anymore in case you get killed." The deacon continued. Lin Feng did not say anything else and directly took out 1,000,000 immortal stones. He handed it over to the deacon. After seeing so many immortal stones, the deacon's eyes lit up. As the saying went, "Money makes the world go round." This saying was very reasonable. For example, after seeing so many immortal stones, the deacon could not suppress the greed in his heart even though he knew that he had violated some taboo. He kept the immortal stones and pondered for a while, as if he was thinking about how to tell Lin Feng about the lunar ancient emperor's lineage. Chapter 56-53. About 50 years ago, many ancient demons appeared and came to this star area. They came here because they were suppressed by the ancient emperor of the Great Ancient Realm. Those ancient demons hated the ancient emperor of the Great Ancient Realm, so they wanted to take revenge on the ancient emperor of the Great Ancient Realm. But the ancient emperor of the Great Ancient Realm had been dead for many years, so they couldn't find him. So they started to take revenge on the descendants of the ancient emperor of the Great Ancient Realm. Among the descendants of the ancient emperor of the Great Ancient Realm, there was an extremely strong cultivator, the ancient emperor of the Great Ancient Realm. He was the second ancient emperor of the Great Ancient Realm. That strong cultivator is terrifyingly strong, but he's old and weak. His cultivation level has dropped a lot. Why are so many ancient demons looking for him? Even though he managed to stop the attacks of the ancient demons for the time being, there were too many of them. The ancient emperor of the Great Ancient Realm didn't have enough strength to deal with the ancient demons. The ancient emperor of the Great Ancient Realm didn't have enough people to help him. If he had, he might have been able to deal with the ancient demons, but without help, it was too difficult for him to deal with so many ancient demons. At that moment, something even worse happened. The Kinwu people and the ancient emperor of the Great Ancient Realm had a grudge against each other. I don't know the details, but I do know that they had a grudge against each other. The Kinwu people knew that the ancient demons were attacking the ancient emperor of the Great Ancient Realm, so the Kinwu people found the ancient demons and joined forces with them to deal with the cultivators of the ancient emperor of the Great Ancient Realm. With the help of the Golden Crows, the ancient emperor of the Great Ancient Realm had a hard time. That's why the ancient emperor of the Great Ancient Realm suffered heavy losses. Fortunately, the ancient emperor of the Great Ancient Realm was there to protect the ancestral land. But at that moment, the ancient demons and the Kinwu people colluded with the cultivators of the Lost Epic Era. With the help of the cultivators of the Lost Epic Era, the ancient demons and the ancient emperor of the Great Ancient Realm were destroyed. The deacon said. Lin Feng's face suddenly became very gloomy. He suddenly thought of the information he saw in the ancient devil's memory. The ancient devil seemed to be planning something, but the specific memory was covered by a strange energy. So, Lin Feng didn't know what they were planning. From the looks of it, the ancient demons were planning to deal with the ancient demon emperor's bloodline. He wondered how little Yao Yao was doing now. Could it be that she had also fallen in the war of extermination? Lin Feng looked at the deacon and asked, Is everyone from the lunar ancient emperor's bloodline dead? The deacon said, I'm not too sure about this either. After all, I've only heard about it from rumors. Cultivators at my level don't have access to these things. However, I heard about something 2 years ago. Some cultivators from the extreme ancient emperor's bloodline managed to escape, but I don't know where they went. No news at all? Lin Feng frowned and asked. The deacon said, Indeed, there's no news. However, the ancient demons, the Kinwu people, and the Lost Epic Era used a special method to seal the void outside the Great world. If the cultivators from the ancient emperor's bloodline tried to escape, they would be sensed. So, I'm guessing that if there are still people from the ancient emperor's bloodline alive, they should still be in the Great world. However, the Great world is vast and boundless. It's very difficult to find their exact location. The Kinwu people, the Lost Epic Era, and the ancient demons have been searching for the survivors of the ancient emperor's bloodline. Perhaps they know something. It's because of these 3 great powers that the ancient emperor's bloodline became a taboo topic. Basically, no one dares to talk about it. That's all I know. Lin Feng asked. What kind of experts are there in these 3 bloodlines? They all seem to have cultivators who are at the peak of the Saint Plane. A few years ago, some cultivators who have surpassed the Saint Plane appeared in the Great world, but we don't know which branch they belong to. They might have already left the Great world, but we don't know if they're from that place. Lin Feng nodded. He probably wouldn't be able to get any more information from this deacon. And so, he left the trading company with the poison group and the evil Zun Saint. Lin Feng's expression was very gloomy. He had wanted to go and see little Yao Yao. But who would have thought that the ancient emperor's bloodline would meet with such a calamity? The ancient emperor's bloodline was the bloodline of the human race's ancient saint emperor. In the past, the ancient emperor had tried to suppress the ancient demons and cause trouble for the human race. In the end, he had died in battle. But after the ancient emperor's death, his descendants had suffered such a tragic fate. Lin Feng couldn't accept this. This matter made Lin Feng extremely angry. These ancient demons and the lost races of the epoch and the Qinwu people who got involved. They really deserve to die, Lin Feng said. Du Zhu asked. What do you plan to do next, young master? Lin Feng took a deep breath and said, I plan to investigate this matter again and see if I can find any clues. In fact, Lin Feng knew that it wouldn't be easy to find any clues. After all, Lin Feng had just arrived in the Great Yin world, and he was unfamiliar with everything here. He didn't have any connections to gather any important information. But no matter how slim the chances were, Lin Feng wouldn't give up. I choked on my Chi-Chi novel. This island was called Myriad Stars Island, and there were many trading companies. Lin Feng went to all the trading companies to gather information, but he didn't get much. Lin Feng couldn't help but feel depressed. One day, Du Zhu came back excitedly from outside and brought Lin Feng an important piece of news. He said that a Qinwu people cultivator had come to the island. The Qinwu people seemed to have an extraordinary identity because the Myriad Stars Island's island master had personally gone to welcome the Qinwu people. After hearing this news, Lin Feng's face lit up. The Qinwu people, the lost races of the epoch, and the ancient demons had become the masters of the Great Yin world in name. These three forces controlled the Great Yin world. They had spies all over the Great Yin world. Therefore, even if these three forces hadn't found the exact location of the ancient emperor's bloodline, they still had some information. But they must have some information about the ancient emperor's bloodline. Chapter 56-54. This person is a breakthrough, Lin Feng said coldly. After hearing Lin Feng's words, Du Zhu and heretical sovereign sage knew what Lin Feng was planning. After all, they had followed Lin Feng for a long time and could read his mind. Lin Feng only needed to say one word or glance to know what Lin Feng was thinking. Lin Feng clearly wanted to make a move on that cultivator from the Qinwu people. Du Zhu asked, Young lord, when do you plan to make a move? Today. Lin Feng raised his eyebrows. Today, the island lord's mansion was very lively. It was decorated with lanterns and colored banners. In the sea region, many high-level cultivators from various clans and powers came to participate in this gathering. This gathering was to welcome the 8 young lords of the Qinwu people. The 8 young lords of the Qinwu people were the 8th son of the Qinwu people's patriarch. Recently, he had been appointed as the overseer of the Western Sea. Of course, this was a position that was very popular. After all, the Western Sea was very large and had all kinds of resources. As the overseer, the various powers would take out all kinds of treasures to show their filial piety to him. Myriad Star Islands was the largest gathering place of cultivators in the Western Sea. The Myriad Star Island Lord was one of the first people to follow the 8 young lords. Now that he had risen with the 8 young lords, he was the Island Lord of Myriad Star Islands. Now that the 8 young lords were here, the higher-ups of the various powers would naturally try their best to curry favor with them. If they could get closer to the 8 young lords, then it would be very beneficial for them. The major forces were very clear about this. Therefore, when the higher-ups of these forces came to welcome the 8 young lords, they brought a lot of gifts. In addition to all kinds of gifts, they also brought a lot of beauties. This was because they knew that the 8 young lords were lustful. He loved to collect all kinds of beauties. These people knew how to cater to his tastes. The hall was bustling with noise and excitement. Dozens of beautiful dancers were dancing gracefully. Their graceful and enchanting dance was truly pleasing to the eyes. The Myriad Star Island Lord stood up and said, "Congratulations to the young lord for taking control of the Western Sea. From now on, All the powers in the Western Sea are willing to follow the young lord's lead. This person was originally one of the 8 young lord's men. Now that they had expressed their stance, they represented all the factions that had come this time. After all, most of the factions had just pledged their allegiance to the 8 young masters. These factions knew the relationship between the Myriad Star Island Lord and the 8 young masters, so they asked the Myriad Star Island Lord to represent everyone and announced that many factions were willing to pledge their allegiance to the 8 young masters. The higher-ups of the various powers all stood up and bowed to the 8 young lords. I already know your intentions. Don't worry, since you've submitted to me, I won't mistreat you, the 8th prince said with a smile. For example, the sons were that in the future, one of these people would definitely inherit the position of the chief of the Golden Crow clan. But it was hard to say who it would be. Now that they had received their territory, the Golden Crow clan leader wanted to train his sons and see who had the qualifications to take over the position of clan leader. The 8 young lords were one of the more outstanding ones among the sons of the Kinwa people's chief. Therefore, they had a chance to take over the position of the chief in the future. At this moment, if they pledged their allegiance to the 8 young lords, they would be able to take over the position of the Kinwa people's chief. At that time, the status of the various powers would naturally rise. They might even be able to expand their powers to the inland world instead of staying overseas. This was something that the various powers hoped to see. Just as the higher-ups of these powers were imagining the beautiful future, 3 cultivators walked in. Who are you people? How dare you trespass here? Do you know what day it is today? Do you not want to live anymore? After seeing the 3 people who came uninvited, a cultivator immediately scolded. The 3 people who had arrived were naturally Lin Feng and the 2 others. They had taken care of the guards outside and easily entered the Great Hall. You don't know the meaning of death. Du Zhu sneered and waved his hand. An invisible poisonous gas filled the air. The poisonous gas directly wrapped around the cultivator who spoke. Following that, the cultivator let out an incomparably shrill scream. After that scream, his body was instantly corroded into a skeleton. After seeing this scene, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. What a terrifying method! Silently killing people, it really gave people a creepy feeling. It was no wonder that these people were frightened. Du Zhu's method was indeed powerful. Du Zhu's control of poison was unparalleled. Others might not even know what was going on, but they might have already been killed by Du Zhu's poison. Everyone, today's matter has nothing to do with you. Our young lord is here to look for the Kinwa people's 8 young lords, Du Zhu said. The Kinwa people's 8 young lords' expression suddenly darkened. He asked, Who are you? Lin Feng glanced at the 8 young lords indifferently. He did not answer the question. Instead, he asked indifferently, Do you know anything about the Lunar Ancient Emperor's bloodline? After hearing Lin Feng's question, the 8 young lords' expression changed. The Kinwa people's 8 young lords already knew who Lin Feng was. He guessed that Lin Feng was very likely a friend of the Lunar Ancient Emperor's bloodline. His guess was not wrong. The 8 young lords' expression turned grim. If they could capture Lin Feng, they might be able to use Lin Feng as bait to lure the Lunar Ancient Emperor's bloodline out. Then they would be able to capture the Lunar Ancient Emperor's bloodline in one fell swoop. Furthermore, he would be able to rely on this matter to make a monstrous contribution. At that time, they would be able to surpass all their brothers. Who would be able to stop them from becoming the first successor? The 8 young lords' wishful thinking was extremely good. The 8 young lords said in a deep voice, These people are the remnants of the Lunar Ancient Emperor's bloodline. Capture them and force the Lunar Ancient Emperor's bloodline out. If we can use this opportunity to eliminate the Lunar Ancient Emperor's bloodline, everyone will have made great contributions. When that time comes, it will be easy for you to get whatever rewards you want. After hearing the 8 young lords' words, many people's eyes suddenly lit up. Although the 3 people who had just spoken were extraordinary, there were only 3 of them. On the other hand, there were more than 200 people on the Kinwa people's side. Moreover, they were all high-ranking members of the various factions. With so many experts working together, How could they not be able to deal with 3 people? Of course, they did not think that way. They were still very confident in themselves. More than 200 cultivators stood up and surrounded Lin Feng, Du Zhu, and the heretic diviner saint. Chapter 56-55. Although these people's cultivation was quite good, they were nothing in Lin Feng's eyes. They were just a motley crew. Lin Feng couldn't even be bothered to deal with them. These people could be left to Du Zhu and the heretic sovereign saint. Lin Feng looked at Du Zhu and the heretic sovereign saint and said, "Get rid of them." "Yes, young master," the 2 of them replied. Then Du Zhu and the heretic sovereign saint attacked. A large amount of poison surged out of Du Zhu's body and quickly rushed towards the cultivators. On the other hand, a powerful corpse chi surged out of the heretic sovereign saint's body and evolved into many corpse demons. These corpse demons directly attacked the group of cultivators. Under the attack of the poison and the corpse demons, many cultivators couldn't resist at all. They died on the spot. "Hurry up and take the antidote," someone said in a low voice. These people didn't dare to hesitate and quickly took the antidote. However, even if they took the antidote, they couldn't completely neutralize Du Zhu's poison. Du Zhu's poison was just too terrifying. Coupled with the corpse demon's attacks, the cultivators continued to die. "Spare us, spare us, spare us, we don't want to die." Soon, some people began to beg for mercy because they realized that they were no match for these 2 people. Now Du Zhu and the heretic sovereign saint were extremely terrifying figures. After all, they had broken through to the Dao Immortal Realm and weren't ordinary Dao Immortal Realm cultivators. They had extremely powerful ultimate moves, such as Du Zhu's poison and the corpse demon army that the heretic sovereign saint summoned. These were their respective ultimate moves. Although these people were quite strong, and some of them had even reached the true immortal realm, they were still very strong. But even if their realms were higher than Du Zhu and the heretic sovereign saint, it was still very difficult for them to withstand the attacks of Du Zhu and the heretic sovereign saint. Cultivators with lower realms couldn't hold on for long under the attacks of Du Zhu and the heretic sovereign saint. Those with higher realms could still hold on for a while, but they still couldn't escape death. Du Zhu and the heretic sovereign saint naturally ignored these people's pleas. They started a massacre. Cultivators were constantly being killed. The 8th young master's face immediately became extremely ugly when he saw this. These were all his followers. If they died, the world of the West Sea would definitely descend into chaos. If the world of the West Sea fell into chaos, it would mean that he was useless as the person in charge of the West Sea. Once his father found out about this, the 8th young master knew that he would never have the chance to become the patriarch of the Golden Crow clan in the future. Therefore, the 8th young master was extremely angry. He roared, "You're all courting death!" With that said, a sun appeared from his body. Of course, it wasn't a real sun. It was just a sun formed by a divine ability. But even so, it was still unimaginably terrifying. The sun shot out an endless amount of divine sunlight. The divine sunlight illuminated the land as if it could destroy everything. The resplendent light of the sun vaporized a large amount of poison. Moreover, the divine sunlight was able to restrain creatures like ghosts. The evil dominator saint belonged to the evil ghost category. The corpse devil summoned by the evil dominator saint suffered great damage from the sun's attack. The bodies of the corpse demons started to burn, and many of them were burned to ashes on the spot. The Kinwu people's 8th young master was very strong. Lin Feng roughly sensed his cultivation. He should be in the golden immortal realm. In addition, he was a member of the Kinwu people's royal family. His bloodline was powerful, so his talent was naturally very terrifying. So his battle power was definitely very strong. However, in front of Lin Feng, he was far too lacking. Seeing the 8th young master's power, the cultivators who joined the Kinwu people's 8th young master were very excited. Many of them shouted, "Young master's divine ability is invincible! Young master's divine ability is invincible!" The Golden Crow clan's 8th young noble couldn't help but reveal a smug smile. He was naturally very satisfied with the combat strength he had displayed. The Kinwu people's 8th young master controlled the sun to attack Du Zhu and the heretic sovereign saint. Du Zhu and the heretic sovereign saint worked together to attack the sun. However, they were still sent flying by the sun. Du Zhu and the heretic sovereign saint's expressions became very unsightly. The Kinwu people's 8th young master said coldly, "You lowly creatures dare to behave so atrociously here? You don't know life from death. This young master will capture you first. Once the people from the ancient emperor's bloodline are lured out, this young master will definitely torture you. When the time comes, you will have a taste of what it means to live a life worse than death." Lin Feng sneered after hearing the Kinwu people's 8th young master's words. The Kinwu people's 8th young master naturally knew that Lin Feng was the master among the three of them. So, he controlled the sun to attack Lin Feng. His face was filled with indifference. In his eyes, a mere young human cultivator was nothing. Compared to him, they were worlds apart. The sun quickly flew in front of Lin Feng and produced a loud rumbling sound. The void seemed to be on the verge of shattering. The sun fell from the sky and ruthlessly suppressed Lin Feng. Just as it was about to crush Lin Feng threw a punch at the sun. A loud bang was heard. The sun formed by the Kinwu people's 8th young master was directly shattered by Lin Feng's punch. The Kinwu people's 8th young master was horrified when he saw this. He did not expect Lin Feng to be so terrifying. He had underestimated Lin Feng's cultivation. Such powerful strength was simply not something he could contend against. With that thought in mind, the Kinwu people's 8th young master did not dare to stay any longer. He immediately turned around and fled outside. How could Lin Feng let the Kinwu people's 8th young master escape? Lin Feng slapped the Kinwu people's 8th young master across the void. The Kinwu people's 8th young master was directly sent flying. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. His body was directly sent flying and fell heavily to the ground. All the meridians in his body were broken by Lin Feng's palm. P.S. The new book has more than 400,000 words. Brothers, go and collect it. Go and read Old Mantu's new book. It's the prequel of the Archean Dragonesque Elephant spell. It's quite interesting. Thank you. End of chapter. Chapter 56-56. You actually crippled me. You'll die a horrible death. I curse you to die a horrible death. The 8th prince's venomous voice sounded out. He glared at Lin Feng viciously. The 8th prince of the Kinwu people had become a cripple in the blink of an eye. This was a huge blow, and the 8th prince of the Kinwu people almost went crazy. He wanted to cut Lin Feng into 1,000 pieces, but he didn't have the ability to do so. He could only turn his boundless hatred towards Lin Feng into curses towards Lin Feng. You won't have a good ending. You'll die a horrible death. Your fate will be 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times worse than mine. Not just you, but your family, your friends, your family, and everyone you know will die without a burial ground. The 8th prince of the Kinwu people continuously cursed Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked at the 8th high official icily. Your curses are useless against me. If you want to die quickly, you better answer my questions. Otherwise, I have 1,000 ways to make you suffer so much that you wish you were dead, said the 8th high official icily. The 8th prince of the Kinwu people said coldly, I won't say anything. Is that so? Lin Feng's expression suddenly became cold. He immediately took out the heaven fire. The heaven fire flew into the mind of the Golden Crow young master, and then enveloped his soul. The heaven fire burned fiercely and incinerated the soul of the Golden Crow young master. Under Lin Feng's control, the heavenly flame didn't burn the Kinwu people's soul to ashes. However, it did cause severe damage to the Kinwu people's soul. His soul was tortured, and it was worse than death. Not many people could withstand it. The 8th prince of the Kinwu people was tortured to the point that it was worse than death. The incomparably mournful screams were even more ear-piercing than the cries of malicious ghosts. His body kept rolling and twitching. The rest of the people looked at this scene in horror. At this moment, the rest of the cultivators were extremely pale. Even the 8 princes of the Kinwu people had ended up in such a miserable state. Naturally, they wouldn't have a good ending. However, it was useless for them to beg for mercy. Therefore, they wanted to break out of the encirclement, but it was very difficult to do so. Du Zhu and the evil dominator Holy Sun joined forces and quickly killed all the cultivators. These people were basically the upper echelons of the various major forces in the West Sea world. Many of them were even the leaders of those forces. The impact of their deaths on the forces they belonged to was too great. It was foreseeable that the Western Sea world would fall into turmoil. However, Lin Feng did not care about that. The West Sea world falling into chaos had nothing to do with Lin Feng. Lin Feng was only concerned about where the lineage of the great ancient emperor was and how little Yao Yao was doing. After seeing those people being killed, the 8 princes of the Kinwu people couldn't help but feel sad. Not long ago, he was still in high spirits. However, in the blink of an eye, he had ended up in such a state. The Kinwu people couldn't accept what had happened. But now, what was done could not be undone. Moreover, the 8 princes of the Kinwu people had been tortured by Lin Feng's heavenly flames. Therefore, the 8 princes of the Kinwu people couldn't think of anything else. As long as this pain could end quickly, he would be thankful. I'll tell you everything. Don't torture me anymore. The 8 princes of the Kinwu people begged. After hearing the pleas of the 8 princes of the Kinwu people, Lin Feng withdrew his heavenly flames. He coldly looked at the 8 princes of the Kinwu people and said, "If we had cooperated earlier, we wouldn't have had to suffer so much." The 8 princes of the Kinwu people collapsed on the ground, his body still twitching. However, Lin Feng didn't pity him. If he pitied him, who would pity the lineage of the great ancient emperor? Lin Feng coldly looked at the 8 princes of the Kinwu people and asked, "Do you know anything about the great ancient emperor's lineage?" The 8 princes of the Kinwu people replied, "I don't know much about the great ancient emperor's lineage." Lin Feng said, "Tell me what you know." In truth, Lin Feng could have soul-searched the 8 princes, but Lin Feng felt that there might be a powerful restriction in the 8 princes' soul, so he didn't do so. The 8 princes of the Kinwu people pondered for a moment before saying, "In the depths of the great ancient forest, there seems to be the whereabouts of the great ancient emperor's lineage. However, I can't be sure because I wasn't involved in this matter before. I heard this information from a member of the Kinwu people. I'm not sure if it's true or not. Where is the great ancient forest?" Lin Feng asked. The 8 princes of the Kinwu people said, "After reaching the mainland, keep heading east. When you see an endless mountain forest, that place is the great ancient forest." Lin Feng nodded and killed the 8 princes of the Kinwu people with a single palm strike. They didn't stay there for long. The 3 of them quickly left the area and flew towards the mainland. Very soon, a shocking piece of news quickly spread throughout the Great realm. The 8 princes of the Kinwu people, as well as the higher-ups of the various large organizations in the West Sea world, had all been killed when they were welcoming the 8 princes of the Kinwu people. The entire Great realm was in an uproar. One had to know that the Kinwu people were one of the leaders of the Great realm. The 8 princes of the Kinwu people were the sons of the clan leader of the Kinwu people. How noble was their status! Someone had actually dared to attack the 8 princes of the Kinwu people. It was unbelievable. Countless people were discussing this matter. Many people suspected that the person who had attacked the 8 princes of the great ancient emperor's lineage. Some people believed that the great ancient emperor's lineage wouldn't be destroyed so easily. There should still be survivors. However, very soon, some people felt that this guess wasn't correct. Many people believed that the great ancient emperor's lineage still had some survivors. Those survivors must still be recuperating and wouldn't come out easily. After all, if they came out, they might die a horrible death and expose the location of the others. Just as the outside world was discussing this matter, the higher-ups of the Kinwu people were even more furious. No matter who had killed the 8 princes of the Kinwu people, this matter was a provocation to the Kinwu people. Therefore, the higher-ups of the Kinwu people were furious. They sent many experts to investigate this matter. Naturally, it was impossible for this matter not to be exposed. Very soon, the news spread. It was said that the people who had killed the 8 princes of the Kinwa people were 3 cultivators. The 3 cultivators looked very unfamiliar and didn't seem to be from the Great Een realm. When this news spread, countless people were puzzled. Since they weren't from the Great Een realm, why would they kill the 8 princes of the Kinwa people? Could it be that they had a grudge against the 8 princes of the Kinwa people? However, no matter what the reason was, everyone knew that the Kinwa people would definitely not let this matter rest. End of chapter. Chapter 56-57. Taiyin Ancient City was one of the top 10 ancient cities in the Taiyin Great World. Taiyin Ancient City was an extremely lively and prosperous ancient city. It was controlled by the Taiyin Ancient Emperor's bloodline back then. Although Taiyin Ancient City had experienced a great battle 50 years ago, over the past 50 years, Taiyin Ancient City had regained its former prosperity. Of course, the cultivators from the Taiyin Ancient Emperor's bloodline who were stationed in Taiyin Ancient City back then were only a portion of them. Their ancestral land was not in Taiyin Ancient City. Most of the cultivators who were stationed in Taiyin Ancient City back then had died in the great battle back then. Only a small portion of them had managed to escape. Taiyin Ancient City was now the territory of the Kinwa people, the lost tribe of the Epic, and the ancient demon clan. All 3 forces had experts guarding Taiyin Ancient City. Lin Feng, Du Zhu, and the evil dominator Holy Sage arrived at Taiyin Ancient City. This place was very close to the Taiyin Ancient Forest. After arriving, Lin Feng and the rest rested for a day before entering the Taiyin Ancient Forest to find out more about the Taiyin Ancient Emperor's bloodline. However, they stayed in the Taiyin Ancient Forest for more than a month but did not find out anything about the Taiyin Ancient Emperor's bloodline. They did not know if the Taiyin Ancient Emperor's bloodline was really hidden in the Taiyin Ancient Forest. Hence, Lin Feng and the rest returned to Taiyin Ancient City. They planned to find out more about the Taiyin Ancient City. They wanted to see if there was any news about the Taiyin Ancient Emperor's bloodline. Since the Taiyin Ancient Emperor's bloodline was a taboo topic, especially among the Kinwa people, the lost tribe of the Epic, and the ancient demon clan, many businesses did not dare to sell any information easily. However, there were still businesses who took the risk. After all, Lin Feng had paid them enough. Lin Feng did find out some information. It was said that many experts from the Kinwa people, the ancient demon clan, and the lost tribe of the Epic had come here. They had probably received some important information and were about to launch a big operation. These trading companies were unable to obtain any more information. Lin Feng could not help but frown. He naturally hoped that nothing would happen to the Great Een Ancient Emperor's bloodline, especially little Yao Yao. Lin Feng and the other 2 temporarily stayed in Extreme Een Ancient City. Lin Feng thought that if the Kinwa people and other forces found out about the lineage of the Great Een Ancient Emperor, they would be able to do so. Perhaps they would make a move soon. At that time, if he kept an eye on them, he might be able to find some clues. That night, a great battle broke out in Extreme Een Ancient City. More than a dozen cultivators were besieged by many people. There were Kinwa people, lost races of the Epic, and cultivators from the ancient demon clan. There was 1 cultivator from each of the 3 clans, while the rest were cultivators who had sided with them. More than 10 cultivators suffered heavy casualties, and only 1 managed to escape in the end. The battle was not particularly far away from Lin Feng's residence. Therefore, Lin Feng could sense the battle. He stood in the courtyard and looked into the distance. Soon, Lin Feng saw an injured cultivator flying over from afar. Many people were chasing after him. When the injured cultivator passed by Lin Feng's courtyard, Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He threw something down and quickly fled into the distance. Lin Feng took a look at the item and realized that it was a mysterious seal with the word Extreme Een written on it. It was written in ancient divine language. He wondered if it was a treasure. After seeing the seal, Lin Feng was extremely shocked. Could that cultivator be a cultivator from the Great Een Ancient Emperor's bloodline? Lin Feng guessed that the cultivator thought that he was going to die. Therefore, he did not want the inheritance of the great ancient emperor to fall into the hands of the Kinwa people, the lost races of the epoch, or the ancient demon clan. Therefore, when the cultivator flew over, he saw Zhou Dongwang standing in the courtyard. Since Zhou Dongwang happened to be a human cultivator, he handed the seal to Zhou Dongwang. Then, he led the others in another direction. You can't run away. The Kinwa people looked coldly at the fleeing cultivator. The fleeing cultivator's face was pale, and his eyes were filled with despair. Indeed, he was in a situation where he would definitely die. He could not run away. However, even if he could not run away, he would never give up. However, he was getting slower and slower, and soon, those people caught up with him. All kinds of attacks were launched at him. The cultivator's eyes were filled with despair. At this moment, a figure appeared beside him. The figure drew a line in the void with both hands. Suddenly, a huge energy shield appeared and blocked the opponent's attack. The cultivator looked at the person who attacked him. He was shocked to find that the person who attacked him was the cultivator who was standing in the courtyard. Run! The cultivator said in a low voice. He knew how terrifying those people were. Moreover, there were definitely experts from the Kinwa people, the lost races of the epoch, and the ancient demon clan watching them. Therefore, if he attacked them, he would not have any chance of winning. Even though Lin Feng had shown his extraordinary strength, he was still very strong. However, no matter how strong Lin Feng was, he could not possibly fight against so many experts. Run? You can't escape! A cultivator from the lost races of the epoch said coldly. The cultivator from the ancient demon clan said coldly, Don't kill them now! Capture them alive! Once we find the whereabouts of the other descendants of the ancient emperor, we'll kill them all. Yes, sir! The other cultivators answered in unison. Then, a large group of cultivators charged at Lin Feng. Lin Feng's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. He flicked his finger, and dense sword chi flew out. The sword chi quickly attacked the group of cultivators who surrounded them. Chapter 56-58. Pooh! 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 Numerous ripping sounds could be heard as dozens of cultivators who had surrounded Lin Feng were instantly torn apart by the sword chi that Lin Feng had unleashed. They all died on the spot. Seeing this, the cultivator beside Lin Feng was extremely shocked. Lin Feng was such a young cultivator, yet he was able to display such terrifying strength. This was something that he had never expected. Seeing how terrifying Lin Feng was, this cultivator's face was filled with shock and astonishment. It was really hard to imagine that such a young person could have such terrifying battle strength. He didn't know how he cultivated. At this moment, Du Zhu and the heretic sovereign saint flew over from afar. Seeing Du Zhu and the heretic sovereign saint flying over, Lin Feng couldn't be bothered to attack the remaining 3 cultivators. Get rid of them, Lin Feng said. Yes. After receiving Lin Feng's order, Du Zhu and the heretic sovereign saint immediately attacked the remaining 3 cultivators. The remaining 3 cultivators were from the Kinwa people, the ancient demon clan, and the lost race of the epoch. Their strength was quite terrifying. Moreover, each of them had some powerful sacred arts that had been passed down from their respective clans. Once they used those sacred arts, they definitely couldn't be underestimated. However, although they were quite strong, they were only at the true immortal realm. 2 of them were at the first heaven of the true immortal realm, the virtual immortal realm. The other one was at the Tao immortal realm. Therefore, their cultivation level was similar to Du Zhu and the heretic sovereign saint. However, when they really fought, they were slightly weaker than Du Zhu and the heretic sovereign saint. This was because Du Zhu and the heretic sovereign saint had more powerful techniques than the 3 of them. Not long after, the cultivator from the Kinwa people was killed. The ancient demon clan cultivator said angrily, Who are you people? How dare you meddle in other people's business? Do you know the consequences of offending the 3 major powers in the great Yin world? Lin Feng sneered. Haven't many people been talking about us recently? Do you know who we are now? After hearing Lin Feng's words, the ancient demon clan cultivators and the lost race of the epoch looked at Lin Feng, Du Zhu, and the heretic sovereign saint. They suddenly thought of the matter that had happened some time ago. The 8 princes of the Qinwu people, as well as many experts of the outer race of the outer seas world, had been killed. It had been a hot topic of discussion recently. Although some time had passed, there were still some people talking about it. But they still couldn't find any trace of them. He didn't think that these 3 people would actually come to ancient Taiyin City. How audacious of him! Obviously, he had also heard about the 8 princes of the Qinwu people being killed. When he had heard the news, he had been overjoyed. He hadn't expected to see the people who had killed the 8 princes of the Qinwu people here today. Moreover, he had been saved by them. In fact, the cultivator was very confused. He didn't know who Lin Feng and the others were. He also didn't know why Lin Feng had killed the 8 princes of the Qinwu people. Regardless of who Lin Feng and the others were, the cultivator knew that Lin Feng was their friend and not their enemy. Otherwise, Lin Feng wouldn't have come to save him. Lin Feng wouldn't have killed the 8 princes of the Qinwu people. The cultivator had a lot of questions that he wanted to ask Lin Feng. However, he also knew that now wasn't the time to ask Lin Feng. It wouldn't be too late to ask Lin Feng after the crisis was over. After the ancient demon clan cultivator and the epic lost race cultivator found out about Lin Feng and the others' identities, their expressions became extremely ugly. They also knew that Lin Feng and the other 2 were extremely terrifying, so they wanted to escape. However, Du Zhu and the evil sovereign saint didn't give them a chance to escape. Du Zhu and the evil sovereign saint each locked onto a person. Then, the 2 of them erupted with extremely powerful combat strength and directly killed the cultivator they had locked onto. At this moment, a terrifying aura came from afar. The Qinwu people, the ancient demon clan, and the epic lost race cultivators saw the situation here and quickly rushed over. Lin Feng said, "We can't stay here for long. Let's leave quickly." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Feng waved his hand and a powerful magic power surged out and enveloped the 3 of them. Then, Lin Feng used a void teleportation technique and quickly disappeared without a trace. By the time the other cultivators rushed over, Lin Feng and the others had already disappeared without a trace. Damn it! Damn it! Investigate! We must find out who the other party is. The experts who flew over were extremely angry. One by one, they roared angrily. When Lin Feng and the others reappeared, they were already outside the city. They entered the ancient lunar forest and found a hidden cave to let the cultivator recover. His injuries weren't light. Although they had some questions to ask him, they had to wait until his body recovered. About a day had passed. The cultivator's injuries were about 60 to 70% healed. When he opened his eyes and saw Lin Feng and the others, he stood up and cupped his fists at Lin Feng. "Thank you for saving me, young master. If not for you, I would have died tragically at the hands of those bastards," Lin Feng said. "You're welcome." After pausing for a moment, Lin Feng asked, "You should be from the ancient emperor's bloodline, right?" The cultivator nodded and said, "That's right. I am from the ancient emperor's bloodline. My name is Sikong Yang. How should I address you, young master?" Lin Feng said. "My name is Lin Feng." Sikong Yang was obviously unfamiliar with the name Lin Feng. He was sure of it. He had never heard of such a powerful person before. He also didn't know why Lin Feng would help him. Therefore, Sikong Yang asked, "Young master, are you related to the ancient emperor's bloodline?" Lin Feng nodded and said, "Do you know little Yao Yao?" Sikong Yang was slightly taken aback and said, "Young master, are you talking about Princess Yao Yao?" Lin Feng nodded and said, "Yes. Little Yao Yao is the daughter of the ancient emperor. She should be your Princess Yao Yao. Back then, I saved little Yao Yao in the exiled world. Later, some experts from your clan went to the exiled world and took little Yao Yao away. So young master is Princess Yao Yao's savior. My apologies." Sikong Yang cupped his fists again and said. Lin Feng asked, "How is little Yao Yao now?" Chapter 56-59. Si Kongyang said, Princess Yao Yao has always been in seclusion in the ancestral land. Her cultivation increased very quickly. 50 years ago, when I returned to the ancestral land, I saw Princess Yao Yao. Later, there was a riot and we lost contact with the people of the ancestral land. Since then, I haven't seen Princess Yao Yao again. Lin Feng frowned and said, So you're saying that you're the cultivators who were stationed in ancient Taiyin City back then? Si Kongyang nodded and said, Yes, we were the cultivators stationed in ancient Taiyin City back then. After that battle, most of us died. Only a few managed to escape. We sneaked into the ancestral land and found that it had already fallen. It was a ruin. We knew that something had happened to the ancestral land. Later on, we kept trying to contact the ancestral land, but we couldn't get in touch with them. Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh. He had thought that he would be able to find some clues, but now, they had been cut off. Si Kongyang said, Lin Gongzi, don't worry about it. This time, we took the risk of entering ancient Taiyin City to get the seal. We want to use the seal to find where the cultivators of the ancestral land are hiding. Hearing this, Lin Feng's eyes suddenly lit up. Lin Feng said, You're saying that the seal can sense their location? Si Kongyang hurriedly nodded and said, That's right. Because the lunar treasure seal is divided into two parts, the two parts can sense each other. As long as you use a special method to activate this lunar treasure seal, you can try to sense the other lunar treasure seal. The lunar seal is the most precious treasure of my clan. Therefore, when the people of the ancestral land escaped, they must have taken it with them. The lunar seal should be with the people of the ancestral land. Therefore, as long as we can sense the chi of the lunar seal, we should be able to find them. Lin Feng smiled. This was a blessing in disguise. Lin Feng asked, How many cultivators escaped from ancient Taiyin City back then? About 300. Si Kongyang said. Where are you hiding? Lin Feng asked curiously. We're hiding in an underground crevice. I'll bring you there now, Si Kongyang said. Lin Feng nodded. Then they headed into the depths of the ancient lunar forest. In the end, they entered an ancient forest shrouded in darkness. That area was extremely dangerous, emitting an incomparably gloomy aura. There were powerful restrictions everywhere. Entering this place, if one did not have any powerful means or did not know the route, it would be very easy for one to suffer a calamity. Si Kongyang was leading Lin Feng and the two others through the forest at full speed. Obviously, Si Kongyang had a map that would allow him to freely enter and exit this dangerous place. Lin Feng said, The outside world has been saying that the Qinwu people and other forces have some information about the ancient emperor of the ancient lunar forest. Could it be that the information they have is actually related to you and not the cultivators of the ancestral land? Si Kongyang nodded and said, That's right, they have indeed received information about us. A few years ago, we weren't hiding in this place. We were hiding in another place, but they seem to have found out where we were hiding. Then, we quickly moved to another place. All these years, they have been looking for us. Although they don't know our exact location, they should know the general area. Lin Feng said, We can't stay here for long. After all, there are many Qinwu people, the ancient demons, and the lost races of the epoch here. They have the advantage in numbers, and you have fewer cultivators here. You can't withstand the torment of a big battle. If another battle breaks out, you will lose a lot of people. When the time comes, you might even be wiped out. We have to find a time to leave this place. Si Kongyang said. The world is so big, there's nowhere to hide. I hope we can find the cultivators of the ancestral land this time and meet up with them to deal with this crisis. Under Si Kongyang's lead, Lin Feng and the other two arrived at the place where the cultivators of the ancient lunar forest were hiding. When they arrived, they saw the survivors of the Taiyin ancient emperor's lineage. Many of them were crippled. Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh and pity them. When these people saw Lin Feng's group, they acted as if they were facing a great enemy. After all, They were hiding everywhere and could be discovered by the Kinwu people at any time. If they were discovered, it would be a disaster. Therefore, they were very cautious and vigilant against outside cultivators. An old man walked out. He was the great elder of the ancient lunar forest. When he saw Sikong Yang, the old man asked, "Are you the only one who came back?" "Yes, I'm the only one who came back. The others have died in ancient lunar city," Sikong Yang said. After hearing Sikong Yang's words, many people in the crowd started crying. There weren't many people left in the ancient lunar forest. Now that more than 10 people had died, they were in great pain. The old man couldn't help but sigh and ask, "Who are they?" Sikong Yang said, "Great elder, some time ago, the 8 young masters of the Kinwu people were killed by this young master." After hearing Sikong Yang's words, the great elder's face suddenly showed a shocked expression. The rest of the people also showed extremely shocked expressions. When this news spread among their tribe, it could be said to be one of the few pieces of good news for them. At that time, the entire clan was extremely excited. They didn't expect that the person who killed the 8 young masters of the Kinwu people would follow Sikong Yang here. Sikong Yang continued, "Not only did this young master kill the 8 young masters of the Kinwu people, but he also has a deep relationship with the ancient lunar forest. This young master is the one who saved Princess Yao Yao in the exile world. So it's Princess Yao Yao's savior. Thank you for your kindness, young master." The great elder cupped his fists and said. Lin Feng said, "There's no need to be so polite, great elder. I hope you can find the cultivators of the ancestral land. I hope Lil Yao Yao is fine." After saying that, Lin Feng took out the lunar treasured seal. When the great elder saw the lunar treasured seal, he became excited and said, "Lin Gongzi, don't worry. With the lunar treasured seal, we'll definitely be able to find them." Chapter 5660. If he wanted the 2 pieces of the seal to resonate with each other, he would need a special secret technique. And at this very moment, the great elder needed to use these secret techniques to activate the lunar treasure seal. The great elder said, "If you want to use this secret technique, you will need to set up an altar. I will go set up the altar now." Lin Feng nodded and said, "Okay." The great elder went to set up the altar, and Lin Feng followed him. Setting up the altar wasn't particularly troublesome. After the great elder finished setting up the altar, the great elder placed the lunar treasured seal on the table. Then, the great elder began to chant an incantation. It was a very ancient language, and Lin Feng didn't understand what it meant. As the great elder chanted the incantation, a very special energy surged out. The special energy was all integrated into the great elder's seal. After the seal absorbed the special energy, a powerful wave of energy surged out. The moon treasure imprint released a powerful qi. When Lin Feng sensed that qi, he was astonished. The moon treasure imprint was an incredible treasure. Moreover, there were 2 pieces of the seal. If the 2 pieces of the seal could form a connection, the power of the seal would be incomparably terrifying. Everyone gathered around and watched the great elder activate the seal. They all hoped that they could quickly reunite with the people of the ancestral land. Previously, because they didn't have the Taiyin treasured seal, they couldn't find out where the people of the ancestral land were hiding even though they had inquired for a long time. Now that they had taken the risk to obtain the great elder's seal, they saw hope. After about half an hour, the great elder finally stopped chanting the incantation. After that, the great elder directly sat down on the ground. His forehead was covered in sweat. It seemed that activating the lunar treasured seal consumed a lot of energy for the great elder. Otherwise, the great elder would not be so exhausted. Lin Feng hastily walked up to the great elder and helped him stand up. Lin Feng asked, "Great elder, how do you feel?" The great elder said, "Lin Gongzi, don't worry. I am fine. I am just a little tired. It's good that you are fine. We can rest assured," Lin Feng said. He paused for a moment and asked, "Great elder, have you found out where the people of the ancestral land are?" The great elder nodded and smiled. "I have indeed sensed where the people of the ancestral land are. They seem to be in the southeast, in a place with water. A place with water in the southeast? Lin Feng couldn't help but look surprised. Even if he used the moon seal, he couldn't sense the exact location. He could only sense the general location. But even if he could sense the general location, it was already an important clue. Was in the sea? If it was in the sea, it would be the East Sea World. However, this place was still some distance away from the Sea World. And in this distance, there might be a lot of inland lakes. Therefore, they needed to determine where this place was. If it was in the sea, then it would be difficult to find. If it was in some inland lakes, then it might be easier to find. At that moment, Si Kongyang said, "Is the place with water in the southeast Panyang Lake? What kind of place is Panyang Lake?" Lin Feng wasn't very familiar with the geography of the Great Yin world, so he asked. Si Kongyang said, "Panyang Lake is the largest inland lake in the Great Yin world. If you head southeast from where we are, the first place with water will be Panyang Lake. Panyang Lake is very dangerous. There are many terrifying beasts living there. There are many terrifying seals in the depths of Panyang Lake. Those seals are very powerful. They directly seal off a large area. Cultivators can't easily enter. For the cultivators of the Great Yin world, Panyang Lake is an absolute forbidden area. Very few people go there. A few years ago, we tried to enter Panyang Lake to find the whereabouts of the people of the ancestral land, but we didn't find any clues. As far as I know, the Kinwu people and other forces also sent people to Panyang Lake to look for them, but they didn't find any clues either," Lin Feng said. "Maybe the people of the ancestral land are hiding very deeply and haven't come out. They've cut off all contact with the outside world. If that's the case, it'll be very difficult to find them." The Great Elder nodded and said, "That's right. If we find an extremely secretive hiding place in Panyang Lake, it won't be easy to find them if they don't come out. However, if we bring the Great Yin Seal, when we get close to them, the Great Yin Seal will be able to sense each other. If they're really in Panyang Lake, we'll definitely be able to find them." After hearing the Great Elder's words, Lin Feng was very happy. If that was the case, then it would be great. Lin Feng couldn't wait to see little Yao Yao. It was then that dozens of powerful cultivators passed through the restrictive barrier outside and arrived at this place. These cultivators were from the Kinwu people, the ancient demon clan, and some cultivators from the epic lost race. "We finally found them." A cultivator from the Kinwu people laughed. "We searched high and low for them, only to find them when we least expected it." A cultivator from the ancient demon clan laughed out loud. Seeing so many people arriving, moreover, they were all top experts. The leader was even a Saint Realm expert. The people of the Great Yin ancient emperor's bloodline panicked. At that moment, the cultivators quickly flew over and surrounded the survivors of the Great Yin ancient emperor's bloodline. Although the Great Yin ancient emperor's bloodline had the advantage in numbers, there were many old, weak, women, and children, as well as many disabled cultivators. There were only a few dozen of them who could fight. Compared to the top experts of the Great Yin ancient emperor's bloodline, the dozens of cultivators who could fight were naturally too weak. There was no suspense in this battle at all. Many people couldn't help but feel extremely desperate. Chapter 56-61. Lin Feng observed for a moment. Other than the cultivator from the ancient demon clan who was in the sage realm, the rest of them were all in the true immortal realm. Lin Feng could not help but sigh. The ancient demon clan, the lost race of the epic, and the Kinwu people really had a lot of experts. Actually, thinking about it, it was understandable. For example, the ancient demon clan was the driving force behind the Great War of the Heavens. They were the top experts back then, but their strength had declined a lot now. The lost race of the epic was even more so. They were a race that transcended epics and had many experts. The Golden Crow clan itself was an extremely heaven-defying clan, and this clan had flourished for a long time. Their strength was extremely terrifying. And now, this race had seized the opportunity of the great changes at the end of the epic. Their cultivation had improved very quickly. It was said that many people in this race had broken through to the true immortal realm, and some had even broken through to the sage realm. This was too terrifying. However, to Lin Feng, these people were not much of a threat because Lin Feng was too strong. Only those who were at the peak of the sage realm, or beyond the quasi-sage realm, could cause trouble for Lin Feng. If there was only an ordinary sage realm expert, it would be difficult for him to defeat Lin Feng. Lin Feng said with a smile. Everyone, don't worry. It's just a bunch of motley crew. They won't be able to cause any trouble. After hearing Lin Feng's words, everyone was stunned. The cultivators of the great ancient emperor's bloodline were extremely shocked. They could not believe what they had heard. The other party was a sage realm expert, and dozens of true immortal realm experts. Lin Feng actually said that they were a bunch of motley crew. Wasn't he looking down on them too much? When the cultivators of the three major forces heard Lin Feng's words, they were so angry that their bodies trembled. They were powerful people, but Lin Feng called them a bunch of motley crew. Was this a slap to their faces? Moreover, Lin Feng was such a young cultivator. He actually dared to call them a motley crew. They didn't know where Lin Feng's courage came from. He surprisingly dared say such things in front of them. An ancient demon clan cultivator looked at Lin Feng with a sinister smile and said, "Kid, I think you don't know how to spell the word death." As soon as he finished speaking, the ancient demon clan cultivator sent a palm strike towards Lin Feng, condensing a large energy handprint in the void. That energy palm blasted towards Lin Feng. The cultivator from the ancient demon clan was a golden immortal expert. His strength was quite strong. Therefore, the energy palm that he condensed emitted waves that made everyone feel suffocated. They all looked at Lin Feng worriedly. The Great Elder wanted to intervene because he was also a true immortal. If he intervened, he could at least save Lin Feng. However, before the Great Elder could do anything, Lin Feng had already made his move. Lin Feng flicked his finger and a sword chi flew out quickly towards the ancient demon clan cultivator. The sword chi instantly tore apart the energy palm formed by the ancient demon clan cultivator. Then, it quickly arrived in front of the ancient demon clan cultivator. Before the ancient demon clan cultivator could react, the sword chi had already split him into two. After seeing this scene, everyone was extremely shocked. They couldn't believe their eyes. The ancient demon clan cultivator was a golden immortal. How terrifying was his cultivation! However, he was instantly killed by Lin Feng. The people from the Taiyin ancient emperor's bloodline suddenly burst into cheers. Xikong Yang's face was full of shock. He knew that Lin Feng's cultivation was quite high, but he didn't expect Lin Feng to be so strong. It was really shocking. When the cultivators from the three major powers saw this scene, their faces became extremely gloomy. The ancient demon clan cultivator said coldly, "Kill them." "Yes, sir." The cultivators from the three major powers replied. The three major powers were in an alliance, so they all addressed the ancient demon clan cultivator as Sir. The experts from the three major powers all attacked. Some of them took out powerful Dharma treasures and activated them. With the help of the Dharma treasures, they released terrifying attacks. Some of them, on the other hand, displayed extremely powerful divine abilities. All kinds of attacks blasted towards Lin Feng and the others. Lin Feng smiled coldly. He condensed a gigantic energy dome which protected everyone. When the enemy's attacks arrived, they were all blocked by the gigantic energy dome. Lin Feng smiled coldly. He condensed a gigantic energy dome which protected everyone. When the enemy's attacks arrived, they were all blocked by the gigantic energy dome. Then, Lin Feng attacked these people. Lin Feng condensed the door of everlasting life. The door of everlasting life descended from the sky and suppressed those cultivators. The door of everlasting life emitted an unimaginably terrifying power. After feeling the terrifying power of the door of everlasting life, everyone's expressions changed. Everyone's expression suddenly changed because they could feel the terrifying power of the door of everlasting life. Even the Saint Realm expert's expression became gloomy. "Let's break that door of everlasting life together," the Sage Realm cultivator said in a deep voice. Then, he and dozens of true immortals attacked together. They blasted out all kinds of attacks towards the door of everlasting life. Even though the door of everlasting life was only a phantom, it was still enough to crush everything. When the attacks of the other party hit the door of everlasting life, they were all blocked by the door of everlasting life. They couldn't break the door of everlasting life at all. When the door of everlasting life pressed down, its destructive power instantly blasted the bodies of these cultivators. Following one explosion after another, the cultivators of the door of everlasting life were killed. One by one, the cultivators' bodies directly exploded. They died on the spot. Although the Sage Realm cultivator didn't die, he vomited blood from the impact of the door of everlasting life. The Sage Realm cultivator looked at Lin Feng with a terrified expression. He couldn't understand. Lin Feng was so young. How could his cultivation be so terrifying? He had seen countless geniuses, but he had never seen someone as heaven-defying as Lin Feng. He was scared out of his wits now. How could he continue to fight? He turned around and fled into the distance. But how could Lin Feng let him go? Under Lin Feng's control, the door of everlasting life pressed down on the Sage Realm cultivator again. The Sage Realm cultivator couldn't resist the suppression of the door of everlasting life. His body collapsed and his soul was destroyed on the spot. End of chapter. Chapter 56-62. So many experts were killed in the blink of an eye. Everyone's face revealed an expression of disbelief. When everyone looked at Lin Feng, it was as if they were looking at a god. Lin Feng was so young. If Lin Feng was a cultivator who had cultivated for hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years, or even tens of millions of years, they wouldn't be so shocked. The key was that Lin Feng was only 200 years old. Sometimes, one couldn't help but sigh. Some people really couldn't be looked at like ordinary people. And Lin Feng was such a person. Thinking that someone like Lin Feng had an extremely deep relationship with their extreme ancient emperor's bloodline, these people became extremely happy. If they had such a person as their enemy, it would be an extremely terrifying thing. Lin Feng refined the blood left behind by the dead experts into source energy, and then handed it over to Du Zhu and the evil sovereign sage. He couldn't use these sources, but Du Zhu and the evil sovereign sage could. Lin Feng said, "These three forces have experts at the peak of the Sage Realm, or at the Quasi-Transcendence Realm. If these experts come, the situation will become extremely dangerous. We can't stay here any longer. Let's leave this place now." Lin Feng was more cautious about this matter. However, it was necessary to be cautious. If a peak of the Sage Realm or a Quasi-Transcendence Realm cultivator came with a group of experts, Lin Feng might be held back. Although there were still 56 undead creatures, who knew how strong they were? What if the other party sent 2 experts at this level? The other expert would be enough to hold back those undead creatures. When the time came. What about the rest? The rest of them would definitely die. It was precisely because of this consideration that it was indeed time to evacuate. Everyone knew that they couldn't stay here any longer. Everyone nodded. Then, Lin Feng summoned the Xianyuan Ancient Starry Sky ship. Seeing that everyone had boarded the Xianyuan Ancient Starry Sky ship, Lin Feng started the ancient ship. The Xianyuan Ancient Starry Sky ship directly jumped into the void and left this place. They quickly flew in the direction of Panyang Lake. In the depths of Panyang Lake, in an area filled with white fog. This area was densely covered with many horrifying restrictive spells. It was known as one of the most dangerous areas in Panyang Lake. Currently, the ancient demon clan, the lost race of the epoch, and the Qingwu people were all here. In total, there were more than 2,000 people. They arrived at this place. Among these people, there was an expert at the peak of the Sage Realm. In addition, there were 2 other Sage Realm cultivators. Therefore, there were a total of 3 Sage Realm cultivators. There were about 200 to 300 true immortals, while the rest were false immortals. At this moment, many cultivators stopped outside the white fog and looked coldly at the area shrouded in white fog. The leading elder was an elite of the Qingwu people. His name was the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor. He was the cultivator at the peak of the Sage Realm. It was said that he was an elite from the immortal ancient era. From this, one could see how ancient he was. In the past, he had always sealed himself in a divine stone. During the long years, his lifespan did not decrease. It was only at the end of the epoch that he broke the seal and walked out of his sealed state. As for the other two Sage Realm experts, one was from the ancient demon clan and the other was from the lost race of the epoch. The cultivator from the lost race of the epoch asked, "My lord, when do we make our move?" The Golden Crow ancient emperor said, "Let's do it now. Everyone, follow behind me." The Golden Crow ancient emperor took the lead and flew toward the white fog. The Golden Crow ancient monarch had a unique understanding of formations and restrictions. Although the restrictive formations and restrictions here were terrifying, the Golden Crow ancient monarch had led a group of experts to successfully pass through the restrictive formations and restrictions. An island appeared in the depths of the restrictive spells. They could vaguely see the figures of some cultivators appearing on the island. They are indeed hiding here. The Golden Crow ancient emperor's eyes flashed with a chilling, killing intent. They had actually found the cultivators who had escaped from the ancestral land of the great ancient emperor. These experts quickly flew toward the island. The cultivators on the island clearly noticed the group of uninvited guests and shouted loudly. Everyone from the great ancient emperor's bloodline was alarmed. Currently, there were about 4,000 to 5,000 people in the Taiyin ancient emperor's clan. However, apart from the old and weak cultivators, there were only about 2,000 people who could fight. Among these 2,000 people, only a portion of them were elite cultivators. Although the rest of them were not weak, they were still a far cry from the experts who had come to the Taiyin ancient emperor. Therefore, after the battle broke out, the great ancient emperor's bloodline suffered heavy casualties. At this moment, 3 Sage Realm experts were jointly attacking the great mystery ancient emperor. The great mystery ancient emperor had not been able to recover from his injuries. Now that he was being attacked by 3 Sage Realm experts, one of whom was at the peak of the Sage Realm, one could imagine how much pressure the great mystery ancient emperor was under. At this moment, an ancient demon expert locked his eyes on a woman. He sneered at her and said, "You must be the daughter of the great ancient emperor, Princess Yao Yao, right?" The ancient demon cultivator's eyes were extremely evil. He was at the peak of the true immortal realm, and was not far away from breaking through to the Sage Realm. This ancient demon clan cultivator was one of the ancient demon clan cultivators who had been suppressed by the lunar ancient monarch. Although he had managed to escape, his hatred for the lunar ancient monarch had never disappeared, just like his clansmen. Now, he no longer had the chance to take revenge on the great ancient emperor. However, when he saw the great ancient emperor's daughter, the ancient demon became excited. If he could kill the great ancient emperor's daughter, it would be considered as revenge. Chapter 56-63. The woman targeted by the ancient demon clan cultivator was indeed Princess Yao Yao. The current Princess Yao Yao had already grown into a beautiful woman. Her long white dress accentuated her graceful figure, and coupled with her delicate and beautiful face, she was definitely the best of the best. She could be described as a peerless beauty. Princess Yao Yao did not deny her identity. Even if she did, her opponent would not believe her. She said coldly, "That's right, I'm the daughter of the ancient emperor of Taiyin. Die!" The ancient devil charged towards Princess Yao Yao and sent a palm strike at her. Princess Yao Yao's expression was cold. She didn't retreat and sent a palm strike towards the ancient devil clan cultivator. Their attacks collided fiercely. As the daughter of an ancient sacred emperor, Princess Yao Yao's bloodline was extremely powerful. Her cultivation was also very terrifying. Princess Yao Yao was not at a disadvantage after colliding with the ancient demon. In fact, Princess Yao Yao had just broken through to the Tao immortal realm. There was still a certain gap between her and the ancient demon. However, Princess Yao Yao's bloodline was too powerful. Therefore, she was not at a disadvantage at all. The key problem was that the opponent had more people. 2 ancient demon cultivators, a Kinwu people expert, and a cultivator from the epic Lost race flew over. A total of 5 cultivators attacked Princess Yao Yao together. Their joint attack was naturally extremely powerful. Princess Yao Yao, under the siege of the 5 experts, suddenly became somewhat flustered. At the same time, Ancient Emperor of Taishan was severely injured. He was sent flying by Ancient Emperor of Golden Crow. He was already injured. After being hit by Ancient Emperor of Golden Crow, his injuries worsened. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his face became even paler. Ancient Emperor of Taishuan's situation was extremely bad. Ancient Emperor of Golden Crow said proudly, "Ancient Emperor of Taishan, your time is up today." After he said that, the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor joined forces with the other 2 sacred powerhouses and charged towards the mysterious Ancient Emperor once again. The mysterious Ancient Emperor looked at his tribesmen dying around him with a sorrowful expression. He wanted to save his tribesmen, but he was unable to do so. Ancient Emperor of Taishan was extremely powerful when he was at his peak. Although there was still a gap between him and an ancient sacred emperor, Ancient Emperor of Taishan was still a peak figure below the ancient sacred emperor. Now that he was old and weak, he naturally could not be compared to the past. Now, he could not even protect his own people. Ancient Emperor of Taishuan's bloodline was about to be destroyed. Ancient Emperor of Taishuan's heart was filled with endless sorrow. Said the Ancient Emperor furiously, "Today, even if I have to die, I'll drag you down to hell with me." The great mystery Ancient Emperor wanted to burn his own origin to increase his battle strength. However, at that moment, a voice suddenly rang out. "Senior, you don't have to do this. Since I am here, no one can destroy Ancient Emperor of Taishuan's bloodline." Ancient Emperor of Taishan looked to his right. He did not know when a young man had appeared. That young man stood proudly in the void and looked coldly at the 3 sacred emperors. Ancient Emperor of Taishan was shocked. He did not know when this young man had appeared. It seemed that this person was extremely skilled in the Tao of space. This young man was none other than Lin Feng. Fortunately, Lin Feng had arrived in time. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Big Brother Feng. Princess Yao Yao, who was surrounded, was extremely surprised when she saw Lin Feng. Although more than 200 years had passed, Lin Feng's appearance was still deeply imprinted in Princess Yao Yao's mind. She would never forget it. Surprisingly, Lin Feng had appeared there. Princess Yao Yao had never thought that he would appear there. Lin Feng also saw Princess Yao Yao. Of course, the current Princess Yao Yao was completely different from the Princess Yao Yao of the past. After all, Princess Yao Yao was only a little girl back then. Now she was so beautiful. Lin Feng said, "Yao Yao, don't worry. I will protect you. I will also protect your people. As long as I am here, no one can bully you in the future. Those who bullied you, I will make sure that they die without a burial place." After hearing Lin Feng's words, Princess Yao Yao quickly nodded. Although Lin Feng's words sounded unbelievable, Princess Yao Yao did not doubt Lin Feng's words at all. "Brat, who do you think you are? How dare you say such arrogant words here?" Ancient Emperor of Golden Crow looked coldly at Lin Feng. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Obviously, he did not take Lin Feng seriously. In fact, it was normal. Ancient Emperor of Golden Crow was a terrifying existence. How could he take a very young cultivator like Lin Feng seriously? Lin Feng did not say much to Ancient Emperor of Golden Crow. He directly summoned the Book of the Dead. 56 Sage Realm Undead Spirits flew out from the Book of the Dead. Ancient Emperor of Golden Crow narrowed his eyes when he sensed the aura of the 56 undead spirits. He naturally sensed the powerful cultivation of those undead spirits. Therefore, he was very surprised that Lin Feng could summon 56 Sage Realm Undead Spirits. Sage Realm Undead Spirits. Princess Yao Yao could not help but exclaim. Lin Feng actually summoned 56 Sage Realm Undead Spirits at once. Regardless of whether these Sage Realm Undead Spirits could defeat Ancient Emperor of Golden Crow, who was at the peak of the Sage Realm. However, The 56 Sage Realm undead spirits summoned by Lin Feng could at least help them resolve today's crisis. When the cultivators of Great Yin Ancient Emperor saw the 56 Sage Realm undead spirits, they were originally extremely desperate. Now that they saw hope, they all erupted with extremely terrifying combat strength. The strongest undead spirit is only at the 7th heavenly layer of the Sage Realm. It's too weak compared to me. I can deal with all of them by myself. Ancient Emperor of Golden Crow was extremely proud. His cultivation was indeed very powerful. He also had the right to be proud. He might really have a way to deal with the 56 undead spirits. However, Ancient Emperor of Golden Crow neglected Lin Feng. Lin Feng sneered and said, "Your opponent is me." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Feng immediately flew toward Ancient Emperor of Golden Crow and punched him. Chapter 5664. The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor had never taken Lin Feng seriously. Therefore, when he saw Lin Feng take the initiative to attack him, he immediately revealed a look of disdain. Even the Ancient Emperor of Great Mystery, Princess Yao Yao, and the others did not understand why Lin Feng would take the initiative to attack the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor. In their opinion, Lin Feng should let the undead deal with the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor instead of himself. After all, the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor was at the peak of the Sage stage. No matter how strong Lin Feng's cultivation was, it was impossible for him to defeat an expert at the peak of the Sage stage. In many people's opinion, Lin Feng was basically throwing an egg at a rock. The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor sneered. "Since you want to die, I will fulfill your wish." As soon as he finished speaking, the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor attacked Lin Feng with his palm. At that moment, Lin Feng used the power of the ruler's armor, the Golden Dwarf, the Magic Lotus, the Holy Bone, Pangu's Mark, and the Stone Golem clone on his body. His battle strength had reached the peak. Moreover, Lin Feng also took out the Phoenix Shield. He held the Phoenix Shield in his left hand. This way, the defensive power of the Phoenix Shield could greatly reduce the damage caused by the opponent's attack. Bang! Along with the sound of the violent collision, there was a loud bang. Lin Feng and the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor collided fiercely. Everyone saw an unbelievable scene. Lin Feng was actually evenly matched with the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor. Many people thought that they had lived for a long time. Because Lin Feng was only a young cultivator who had lived for more than 200 years. But he was actually evenly matched with an expert at the peak of the Sage stage. This kind of method was really shocking. It was like a dream. Even Princess Yao Yao also showed an extremely shocked expression. Soon, Princess Yao Yao smiled. "Big Brother Feng is too powerful." Princess Yao Yao was very happy. In her opinion, no matter how extraordinary something happened to Big Brother Feng, it was very normal. Her Big Brother Feng could definitely do something that others could not do. How is this possible? The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's face was filled with disbelief. It was because Lin Feng was too young. Even if Lin Feng had used some other means to increase his combat strength, he shouldn't be able to fight evenly with him. Lin Feng coldly laughed as he said, "Nothing is impossible. I'll send you to hell very soon." Lin Feng charged towards the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor again. Of course, Lin Feng knew this as well. The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor was too powerful. Therefore, it would be rather difficult to kill him. What Lin Feng wanted to do now was not to kill the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor immediately. Instead, it was to stall the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor. The 56 undead summoned by Lin Feng joined the battle of the ordinary cultivators. 56 undead spirits of the Sage Realm, what kind of terrifying existence was that? After they joined the battle, the other side did not have any top powerhouses to hold back the 56 undead. Therefore, there was a drastic change in the battle. The cultivators of the three factions who had the absolute upper hand were immediately scattered by the 56 undead spirits. At this moment, the profound Ancient Emperor was holding back the Sage Realm powerhouses of the Ancient Demon Clan and the Lost Epic Clan. Although the profound Ancient Emperor was injured, he had no problem holding back these two Sage Realm powerhouses. A seventh heaven undead spirit of the Sage Realm charged towards the 5 powerhouses who were besieging Princess Yao Yao. This undead spirit was obviously an extremely smart fellow. He could tell that Lin Feng and Princess Yao Yao were very close, so he took the lead to save Princess Yao Yao. Seeing this powerful undead spirit flying towards them, the 5 powerhouses at the peak of the true immortal realm were scared out of their wits. No matter how confident they were in themselves, even if they were confident, they did not think that they could resist such a terrifying powerhouse. They all fled into the distance, but this 7th heaven undead spirit of the Sage Realm did not give them a chance to escape. A large amount of death aura surged over. It directly enveloped the 5 powerhouses at the peak of the true immortal realm. Miserable screams rang out. The 5 powerhouses at the peak of the true immortal realm were all killed. Then, this undead spirit directly devoured their flesh and soul essence. This was because the cultivation of these undead spirits would greatly increase by devouring the flesh and soul essence of various living beings. In addition, devouring other special heavenly treasures could also continuously increase their cultivation. They were no longer simple undead spirits. When their cultivation reached this level, they were equivalent to corpse cultivators. Therefore, they were able to continuously improve their cultivation like ordinary cultivators. Moreover, among these 7th heaven undead spirits, one of them was about to break through to the 8th heaven Sage Realm. If he could break through, it would be an extremely good thing for Lin Feng. This was because Lin Feng would have an 8th heaven undead spirit of the Sage Realm under his command. This was an extremely terrifying existence. With the addition of these undead spirits, the cultivators of the 3 major forces kept dying. Many people wanted to escape, but in the face of so many undead spirits of the Sage Realm, they simply had no chance to escape. At this moment, the ancient starship Xianyuan quickly flew over from afar. After seeing the battle here, the cultivators on the ancient starship flew out one after another. Then, they joined the battle. With the addition of these experts, the other party could not hold on any longer. Not long later, more than 2,000 cultivators of the 3 major forces were all killed. Only 3 Sage Realm cultivators were left. The 3 Sage Realm cultivators' faces were extremely ugly. This time, their losses were too heavy. They wanted to quickly get rid of their opponents and escape from this place. After escaping, they would invite experts who had surpassed their cultivation level to deal with Lin Feng and the people of the Taiyin Ancient Emperor's bloodline. At that time, everyone would definitely die. Although their wishful thinking was extremely good, Lin Feng did not give them a chance to escape. The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor was held back by Lin Feng. He tried to get rid of Lin Feng again and again but failed. The other 2 Sage Realm experts were held back by the Taishian Ancient Emperor and could not escape. The 56 undead spirits quickly flew towards the Taishian Ancient Emperor. They joined forces with the Taishian Ancient Emperor and quickly killed the 2 Sage Realm experts. Next, the Taishian Ancient Emperor and the 56 undead spirits quickly flew towards Lin Feng. They surrounded the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor. "Golden Crow Ancient Emperor, you're dead," Lin Feng sneered. He, the Taishian Ancient Emperor, and the 56 undead spirits launched a terrifying attack towards the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor. End of chapter. Chapter 56-65. The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor was besieged by so many people. He naturally knew that it was impossible for him to withstand the attacks of so many experts with his own strength. The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor did not dare to be careless in the face of so many attacks. He hurriedly took out a supreme treasure that was made of the Sun Divine Stone. It was called the Golden Crow Pagoda. The Golden Crow Pagoda had a total of 7 levels, and the light of the sun shone down from the pagoda. The light of the sun shrouded the land of the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor within. When all the attacks came crashing down, they were all blocked by the light of the sun. The Golden Crow Pagoda was indeed an incredible treasure. Lin Feng and the others were astonished when they saw the power of the attack. With such a powerful treasure protecting the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor, it would not be easy to kill him. However, Lin Feng and the others had enough people on their side. No matter how powerful the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's treasure was, it would not be able to withstand their continuous attacks as long as the attacks lasted for a while longer. The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor said angrily. "Don't you think it's unfair for all of you to gang up on me?" Lin Feng said. "Is there such a thing as unfair in a battle of life and death? I just like to bully others with numbers." The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's mouth twitched when he heard Lin Feng's words. Although Lin Feng's words sounded a little shameless, the battle of life and death in the world of cultivators was extremely cruel. Everyone would only remember who had succeeded. The loser would be forgotten by everyone. The winner would be able to rewrite history. Only the winner would be able to survive. That was the most important thing. The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor looked at Lin Feng and asked, "Who are you? We don't have any grudges with you. Why are you interfering with our business with the Lunar Ancient Emperor's bloodline?" Lin Feng said. "Because I'm a human. How can I forgive you for harming a human cultivator of the Lunar Ancient Emperor's bloodline?" The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor said. "Although you are very powerful and have so many Sage Realm undead as your subordinates, you should know that our 3 factions have quasi-supreme level experts. If you insist on interfering, do you know what the consequences will be when the quasi-supreme level experts arrive?" "Oh, are you threatening me?" Lin Feng sneered at the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor. He said coldly, "How dare you threaten me when you're about to die? You don't know what's good for you. I'll throw you into the 18 levels of hell soon." Lin Feng and the others attacked even more ferociously. The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor released his Golden Crow Pagoda to block their attacks. At the same time, the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor took out a jade talisman. It was a space-travel jade talisman. It was no wonder that the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor had such a tough attitude despite being besieged. It turned out that he still had such a supreme treasure. Clearly, the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor felt that he could escape successfully with the help of the jade talisman. Lin Feng sneered when he saw the jade talisman. Did this guy really think that he could escape with the help of the jade talisman? That was a little too whimsical. Lin Feng began to activate his space Dao. At the same time, the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor crushed the jade talisman. Once the jade talisman was crushed, a powerful spatial energy surged out. The spatial energy condensed into a spatial gate. It was unknown where the spatial gate led to. The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor did not enter the spatial door immediately. Instead, he looked coldly at Lin Feng. His face was filled with murderous intent as he said, "Little brat, I'll remember you. Today, you ruined our plan and caused us to suffer heavy losses. Moreover, you're still stubbornly trying to help the Ancient Emperor of the Moon. Soon I'll make sure you die without a grave." He took a step forward and tried to enter the spatial door. He wanted to travel through space and leave this place. However, he had actually failed. The reason for that was because the spatial gate was rapidly closing. When he saw the spatial gate rapidly closing, his complexion immediately turned extremely ugly. "What's going on? Why would something like this happen?" The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor shouted in disbelief. He could not accept what was happening in front of him. However, he could not change what had happened. Very soon, the spatial gate completely disappeared without a trace. Lin Feng sneered. "Golden Crow Ancient Emperor, you won't be able to escape. Accept your fate." The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor looked coldly at Lin Feng. He had felt that Lin Feng was casting a technique. However, the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor did not take it to heart. Now, it seemed that Lin Feng had something to do with the spatial door being destroyed. "What technique did you use?" The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's eyes were extremely gloomy. Said Lin Feng, "I received the legacy of the first space god, so I can control empty space Dao. That's why I can use empty space Dao to fight against you. Your door is also made of empty space strength, so it's not difficult for me to destroy it," said Lin Feng. The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's face darkened when he heard Lin Feng's words. The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's face darkened. However, Lin Feng did not say anything else to the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor. The most important thing now was not to give the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor a chance to counterattack. Killing him as soon as possible was the most important thing. He and the others launched even more ferocious and violent attacks at the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor. All kinds of attacks were launched at the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor. The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's defensive treasure was very powerful. However, under the continuous attacks of Lin Feng and the others, his defensive treasure was about to be destroyed. The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor knew very well that if his defensive treasure was destroyed, he would have to face the attacks of Lin Feng and the others. This would be an extremely terrible thing for him. After all, no matter how powerful he was, he would not be able to withstand the attacks of so many experts. Therefore, the Golden Crow Ancient Arch looked at Lin Feng and said, "As long as you let me go, I can promise you anything. I can give you the Immortal Sutra and even tell you about the ancient weapon." The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor clearly knew that as long as he could rope in Lin Feng, he would have a chance to live. Therefore, he wanted to tempt Lin Feng into letting him live. The conditions he proposed were tempting enough to tempt anyone. Chapter 56-66. Even Lin Feng had to admit that the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's offer was extremely tempting. If it had been anyone else, they might have agreed. However, Lin Feng was different. No matter how tempting the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's offer was, Lin Feng would not agree. This was because some things could not be measured by benefits. For example, his relationship with little Yao Yao and the connection between the bloodlines of the human race could not be measured by other things. Even though Lin Feng really wanted the celestial scriptures and the ancient weapons, he preferred to find those things himself. He didn't want to betray his friends for those things. Therefore, Lin Feng rejected him coldly. "Don't waste your time. You will die today. No one can save your life." Lin Feng continued to attack the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor. The others also attacked the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor together. All kinds of terrifying attacks were launched at him. The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's face was extremely gloomy. He had no choice but to continue using the Golden Crow Pagoda to block the attacks of Lin Feng and the others. However, although the Golden Crow Pagoda was very powerful, it had blocked the attacks for a long time. The defensive system formed by the Golden Crow Pagoda had been severely damaged. After Lin Feng and the others released another 3 or 4 waves of attacks, the defensive system formed by the Golden Crow Pagoda finally could not hold on. The defensive system formed by the Golden Crow Pagoda collapsed. Upon seeing this, Lin Feng looked excited. Without the protection of the Golden Crow Pagoda, the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor would definitely die no matter how powerful he was. After all, the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor was only one person. It was difficult for 2 fists to fight against 4 hands. On the other hand, Lin Feng and the others had many experts. Wouldn't it be very easy to kill the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor? Lin Feng and the others attacked the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor together. All kinds of attacks were launched at him. The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor used his defensive mystique to block them, but his defensive mystique was destroyed in an instant. Then, Lin Feng and the others' attacks landed on the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's body. Half of the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's body exploded. "How could this be? How could this be? I can't accept this!" The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor roared furiously. He was an expert at the pinnacle of the Sage Realm, and it was the end of the epic. He could seize this special period to break through to the Transcendence Realm. Once he completed the Transcendence, it would be an unprecedented transformation. If he were to be killed by Lin Feng and the others, then everything would be for naught. Even though he was extremely unwilling. However, he had no way to reverse the tide of the battle. In fact, no one could reverse the tide of the battle. If it was Lin Feng who was surrounded by dozens of Saint Realm experts, only death awaited him. "You won't be able to escape," Lin Feng sneered. The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's eyes were filled with boundless killing intent. Right now, the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's hatred for Lin Feng was as endless as a torrential river. If it weren't for Lin Feng, how could he have ended up like this? Therefore, the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor wanted to drag Lin Feng to hell with him before he died. The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's body started burning. He was burning his origin source to increase his strength. After burning his origin source, the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's strength increased greatly. The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's aura also became more and more terrifying. After sensing the terrifying aura emanating from the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's body, Lin Feng's face darkened slightly. The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor flew directly toward Lin Feng at high speed. When he got close to Lin Feng, his body started to swell. Obviously, the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor wanted to self-destruct to drag Lin Feng down with him. This method was very tragic because the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's soul would also be destroyed by the explosion. However, the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor couldn't care less. Although this method was extremely tragic, it was the most effective method. If he used other methods, such as killing Lin Feng through a life-and-death battle, it might be more difficult. However, after he burned his origin source to increase his cultivation level, and then self-destructed to drag Lin Feng down with him, the success rate was much higher. This was because the stronger a cultivator's cultivation level was, the more destructive the self-destruction would be. For example, the power of the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's self-destruction was many times stronger than when he didn't burn his origin source to increase his cultivation level. Everyone's expression changed drastically when they saw that the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor was about to self-destruct. At that moment, Lin Feng tapped the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor lightly, and the power of destiny flew directly into his body. So, when the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor was about to self-destruct, Lin Feng had already used the Great Destiny technique to deal with him. Didn't you want to self-destruct? I'll use the Great Destiny technique to change your destiny so that you can't self-destruct. Therefore, when the powerful power of destiny surged into the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's body, his swollen body quickly returned to its original state. The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's plan to self-destruct naturally fell through just like that. However, Lin Feng's attack was still approaching. The rest of the people also came back to their senses and released powerful attacks. All the attacks were directed at the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor. The Golden Crow Ancient Emperor roared furiously. He withstood the first wave of attacks with difficulty. However, Lin Feng and the rest attacked him continuously. After 7 or 8 waves of attacks, the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor finally couldn't hold on any longer. After all, his body had been severely injured. In addition, he had just failed to self-destruct and suffered a backlash. He couldn't hold on for long. In the end, the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor was killed by Lin Feng and the rest. Lin Feng refined the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's flesh and soul into the purest source energy. The source energy of an expert at the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's level was still very useful to Lin Feng. Therefore, Lin Feng was still very interested in the source energy of the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor. Lin Feng put the 56 souls into the Book of Dead Souls, and then put the Book of Dead Souls away. Meanwhile, the cultivators of the Great Ancient Emperor's bloodline cheered. They had thought that they wouldn't be able to escape this time, but they had survived. The feeling of surviving a calamity was really great. However, although they had survived, many of them couldn't help but cry softly when they thought of their clansmen who had died tragically. Chapter 56-67. Lin Feng didn't try to persuade them to stop crying. Sometimes it was necessary to vent one's emotions. He could understand the sorrow of the Taiyin Ancient Emperor. Princess Yao Yao came to Lin Feng's side and said, "Big Brother Feng, I originally wanted to look for you after I broke through to the true immortal realm, but because of the great changes, I couldn't find you. I didn't expect you to appear here. Did you come here just to see me?" Lin Feng nodded and said, "Yes, I came here just to see you. Fortunately, I came in time. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. If something happened to you, I would die of grief." Princess Yao Yao blushed when she heard Lin Feng's words, but she was very happy. At this time, the Taiyin ancient emperor ordered everyone to collect the corpses of the dead. Princess Yao Yao looked at the Taiyin ancient emperor and asked, "Ancestor, shouldn't we get out of here now? After all, we've been exposed. If we continue to stay here, won't they send more experts to deal with us?" The Taiyin ancient emperor nodded and said, "Yes, we should leave. Otherwise, it'll be very dangerous." Lin Feng said, "There's no need to leave. The powerful restrictions outside are the best defense. I plan to use them to deal with the cultivators who are coming. If they really dare to come, even if they're cultivators who surpass their cultivation level, I can make them die here." The Taiyin ancient emperor and Princess Yao Yao's eyes lit up. If someone else had said that, they wouldn't have believed it. However, since it was Lin Feng, they believed that Lin Feng could do it. "Then I'll have to trouble you, little friend," the Taiyin ancient emperor said. "Senior, you're welcome," Lin Feng said. After a pause, Lin Feng continued, "I'll go and observe the restrictions outside. I want to think about how to set up the great formation here." "Okay." The Taiyin ancient emperor nodded. "Big brother Feng, I'll go with you," Princess Yao Yao said. Lin Feng nodded. Then Lin Feng and Princess Yao Yao flew outside. Ancient Emperor Taixian looked at Lin Feng and Princess Yao Yao as they left. He pondered for a while and then smiled. He had been young and knew about love. Princess Yao Yao had been thinking about Lin Feng all these years. Now that Lin Feng had come to find her, Ancient Emperor Taixian smiled. His heart must be filled with joy. Lin Feng and Princess Yao Yao entered the restricted area. Princess Yao Yao asked, "Big brother Feng, have you been well all these years?" Lin Feng said, "I've experienced too many things over the years. There were good things and bad things, but it's still passable. After I finish setting up the formation, I'll have a good chat with you about what happened over the years." Princess Yao Yao quickly nodded her head. Lin Feng spent 3 days studying the restrictions. The restrictions here were indeed terrifying. However, the restrictions here were scattered. Once they were scattered, they would be able to break through. If they were scattered, their power would be greatly reduced. If he could combine the restrictions, their power would naturally be terrifying. They could erupt with power 10 times, or even 100 times stronger. With so many restrictions, if they could erupt with power that many times stronger, the destructive power would be unimaginable. Besides, that wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing was that Lin Feng was going to use those restrictive spells as a foundation to create even more powerful deployment spells. The stone scriptures recorded many top-notch killing formations. There were even records of some killing formations from the previous epoch. Lin Feng found it very difficult to set up some of the formations. However, if Lin Feng used the stone scriptures to set them up, it wouldn't be a problem for him to set them up successfully. While Lin Feng was setting up the formations, the news that all the experts of the 3 major forces had been killed quickly spread out. The higher-ups of the 3 major forces gathered together to discuss this matter. Originally, they didn't intend to invite the Transcendence Realm experts to come out. After all, the Transcendence Realm experts were terrifying existences. They generally wouldn't get involved in such matters easily. They were generally pursuing self-transcendence. But this time, even the cultivators at the peak of the Sage Realm were killed. They knew that they had to invite the Transcendence Realm experts to come out. Therefore, the experts of the 3 major forces personally invited the Transcendence Realm experts to come out. Under the leadership of the 3 Transcendence Realm experts, the experts of the 3 major forces quickly rushed towards Panyan Lake. After setting up the formations, Lin Feng was finally able to breathe a sigh of relief. Lin Feng returned to the island and had a good rest. In the next few days, Lin Feng and Princess Yao Yao talked about many things that had happened in the past few years. When they talked about some thrilling events, such as the matter of killing the Heavenly Emperor, even though it had happened a long time ago, Princess Yao Yao still had a look of fear. Princess Yao Yao had a look of lingering fear. When she was afraid, she would reveal a weak expression. That kind of appearance was quite delicate and pitiful. On this day, Ancient Emperor Taishan came to Lin Feng's place. Ancient Emperor Taishan said, "Young friend, we have two extremely powerful supreme treasures, but these two supreme treasures have been sealed and can't be used. The reason why the experts of the three great forces want to kill us isn't just because of their previous grudges. The main reason is that they want the two treasures of the ancient emperor of the lunar ancient emperor," said Lin Feng. "If you're interested, I can take you to see the two treasures now," said Lin Feng. "If you can activate those two treasures, it means you're fated to be with them. I can represent the ancient emperor of the lunar ancient emperor and give them to you," said the ancient emperor. End of chapter. Chapter 56-68. After hearing the ancient emperor's words, Lin Feng was pleasantly surprised. He didn't expect such a good thing to be waiting for him. This was truly a pleasant surprise. In fact, Lin Feng had suspected that the three great powers had other motives for wanting to destroy the ancient emperor's bloodline. Perhaps there was some hatred in the middle. However, Lin Feng had always felt that the world was full of benefits. If there were no benefits, would they have to risk their lives to destroy the ancient emperor's bloodline? However, there were some things that the ancient emperor didn't say, so Lin Feng couldn't ask him. Now that the ancient emperor had taken the initiative to speak about it, it confirmed Yi Xian's previous guess. Lin Feng asked curiously, "Senior, may I know what those two treasures are?" The ancient emperor said, "Little friend, follow me. You'll know when you see those two treasures." Hearing the ancient emperor's words, Lin Feng didn't ask any more questions. However, Lin Feng couldn't help but feel even more curious. Lin Feng suppressed his curiosity for the time being and followed the ancient emperor to the place where the two treasures were placed. They arrived at a cave deep in the mountain range. The two treasures were placed inside the cave. After seeing the two treasures, Lin Feng's face immediately revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. Heaven-shaking stone tablet. Those two treasures were actually two heaven-shaking stone tablets. Moreover, it was one yin and one yang. Two heaven-shaking stone tablets that could form a connection. Lin Feng already had two complete heaven-shaking stone tablets. Back then, he had relied on these two heaven-shaking stone tablets to kill the heavenly emperor. They had played an extremely important role at the critical moment. Back then, they had joined forces to attack the heavenly emperor. If not for Lin Feng's two heaven-shaking stone tablets, Lin Feng's group of four would have died without a doubt. Lin Feng was very clear on this point. Therefore, Lin Feng knew how heaven-defying these heaven-shaking stone tablets were. If he could gather all 18 heaven-shaking stone tablets, he could even find the secret of eternal life. Moreover, these heaven-shaking stone steels also recorded countless absolute arts. Lin Feng had yet to fully comprehend the various absolute arts recorded in the book. However, Lin Feng believed that it was only a matter of time. Lin Feng naturally wanted to collect all 18 heaven-shaking stone steels. However, Lin Feng also knew how difficult it was to collect all 18 of them. It was just like how Lin Feng was collecting the stone swords. If he could collect all 36 stone swords, then he would absolutely be able to sweep through all the lost races in the world. Actually, to be honest, the master of the mastermind's world was also the epic lost race. After all, he had lived through many eras. If Lin Feng could find the 36 stone swords, perhaps he could use the 36 stone swords to kill the mastermind behind the scenes. But the key was that Lin Feng had only found 14 stone swords. Lin Feng had no idea where the remaining 22 stone swords were. The situation of the heaven-shaking stone tablets was very similar to the 36 stone swords. The heaven-shaking stone tablets were too heaven-defying. If he could find all the heaven-shaking stone tablets, that would be amazing. However, the key was that it was too difficult to find all the heaven-shaking stone tablets. Now, Lin Feng saw the two heaven-shaking stone tablets. From this, one could tell how happy he was right now. Lin Feng realized that the two heaven-shaking stone tablets were different from the two heaven-shaking stone tablets that he had obtained. The two heaven-shaking stone tablets were stained with blood. The blood had completely merged with the heaven-shaking stone tablets. It should be the blood of an extremely powerful cultivator. The reason why he made such a guess was that Lin Feng felt a trace of dangerous aura from the blood. Lin Feng suddenly thought of the heaven-shaking stone tablet that he had seen in the starry world back then. It was also stained with blood. Moreover, the blood on it was the blood of one of his ancestors. It was also because of this reason that when he was not particularly powerful back then, he was able to rely on the blood on the heaven-shaking stone tablet to successfully activate a portion of the heaven-shaking stone tablet's power. After that, he had killed dozens of alien lifeforms. Lin Feng did not know who the blood on the two heaven-shaking stone tablets belonged to, but Lin Feng was sure of one thing. The blood on the two heaven-shaking stone tablets was definitely not his ancestor's blood. If it was his ancestor's blood, he would definitely be able to sense it. However, when he sensed the blood on the two heaven-shaking stone tablets, there was not the slightest bit of movement. This meant that the blood had nothing to do with his ancestor. It should be his ancestor's blood. Lin Feng looked at the ancient Emperor of Supreme Mystery and asked, "Senior, whose blood is this?" The ancient Emperor of Supreme Mystery said, "I don't know. It's said that in the past, someone used the heaven-shaking stone tablets to participate in the Xiantian battle. That battle was too fierce, so I'm guessing that the blood should belong to the owner of the heaven-shaking stone tablets back then. It's simply unimaginable how strong a cultivator who could control two heaven-shaking stone tablets in that era was." Later, the ancestor of Supreme Ancient Emperor obtained the two heaven-shaking stone tablets. At that time, he was still able to activate the two heaven-shaking stone tablets. However, after he died, the two heaven-shaking stone tablets underwent some strange changes. Our lineage's cultivators could no longer activate the two heaven-shaking stone tablets. Even I can't activate the two heaven-shaking stone tablets anymore. Little friend, you should know how extraordinary the heaven-shaking stone tablets are. Apart from the Supreme Divine Court and the Door of Everlasting Life, the heaven-shaking stone tablets are supreme treasures that hide the most secrets. Once the cultivators of any power hear about the heaven-shaking stone tablets, they'll be very interested in the heaven-shaking stone tablets. Even if there's a river of blood, they'll want to obtain the heaven-shaking stone tablets. The two heaven-shaking stone tablets have been in our clan for a very long time, but we've never been able to activate them. This means that our fate with the two heaven-shaking stone tablets has come to an end. Now, we need to find a fated person to activate the two heaven-shaking stone tablets. I wonder if you're that fated person. Lin Feng said. I'll try. The ancient Emperor of Supreme Mystery nodded and said, "All right. Little friend, you can try to activate the two heaven-shaking stone tablets here. I won't disturb you any longer." Lin Feng nodded and sent the ancient Emperor of Supreme Mystery out. Then, Lin Feng went back. He sat down cross-legged. Powerful dermic powers continuously flowed into the two heaven-shaking stone tablets. Lin Feng tried to refine the two heaven-shaking stone tablets. End of chapter. Chapter 56-69. However, there was one thing that made Lin Feng feel rather depressed. His magic power was actually unable to flow into the stone tablets. It was really strange. Lin Feng then tried to use his divine consciousness to sense the two stone tablets. However, there was still no reaction from the two stone tablets. There was no fluctuation either. They were just like two ordinary stone tablets. Seeing this, Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. Could it be that he wasn't fated to be with the two stone tablets? That wouldn't do. I must obtain these two stone steels. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. Lin Feng summoned his two stone tablets. They had already been refined by Lin Feng. Therefore, Lin Feng was able to control the two stone tablets with ease. Just as Lin Feng's two stone tablets were activated, the two blood-stained stone tablets emitted waves of violent fluctuations from within. Seeing this, Lin Feng's face was instantly filled with joy. It seemed that the stone tablets could sense each other. Maybe I can refine these two steels? Lin Feng couldn't help but have a thought. Thinking of this, Lin Feng's magic power continuously flowed into the 2 stone tablets. Previously, his magic power was unable to flow into the 2 heaven-shaking stone tablets. However, he had succeeded this time. However, at this moment, a strange scene occurred. Lin Feng's blood, which had already dried up, was now dripping with blood. Lin Feng poured more strength into the stone tablet. All of it was devoured by the blood. The 2 stone tablets were indeed strange. They were resisting his refinement. This made Lin Feng feel that it was a little tricky. However, Lin Feng realized that although he couldn't refine the 2 stone tablets, the 2 blood-stained stone tablets hadn't died yet. But the 2 blood-stained stone tablets didn't calm down. It meant that Lin Feng's 2 stone tablets were resonating with the 2 blood-stained stone tablets. Lin Feng wanted to find out where the blood came from. He wanted to see if he could find any clues about how to refine the 2 stone tablets. The reason why Lin Feng had sensed the blood was because the blood of extremely strong cultivators often contained ancient memories. Maybe the blood contained such memories. If Lin Feng could find such memories, he would be able to find them. If he could find out the origin of the blood on the 2 stone tablets, he might be able to find out the origin of the blood on the 2 stone tablets. When Lin Feng's divine consciousness came into contact with the blood, Lin Feng immediately felt that he was instantly pulled into an extremely ancient world. An earth-shaking battle cry rang out from afar as countless cultivators engaged in a fierce battle against each other. A battle between sentient lifeforms. Lin Feng revealed an extremely shocked expression. Lin Feng actually had a certain understanding of the battle between sentient lifeforms. However, he didn't know much about it. It was said that many sentient lifeforms had fought over various resources and territories. This battle was originally a small-scale one. However, some sentient lifeforms had died later on. As a result, the sentient lifeforms who had suffered losses found their friends, and their friends found their friends. The battle became more and more intense, and the death toll became more and more severe. In the end, it swept through all the worlds. This battle. It was equivalent to an internal strife. The battle between sentient lifeforms was absolutely a destructive blow to the experts born in this era. The masterminds behind the battle between sentient lifeforms were actually the remnant races of the era, the alien lifeforms, and the mastermind behind the scenes. These people had always been high and mighty. They didn't want to see too many powerful lifeforms born in this era. For example, the remnant races of the era had their cultivation base constantly weakened while the strength of the lifeforms born in this era was constantly increasing. If they continued to increase their strength, the cultivators of the remnant races of the era would feel that the lifeforms of this era would pose a great threat to them. Therefore, they had to take precautions. Then, before the lifeforms of this era posed a real threat, they would think of ways to eliminate them first. Meanwhile, the reason why the foreign creatures started this war was even easier to understand. They came from other universes. They wanted to obtain all kinds of resources. They wanted to rule over the heavens. That was why they wanted to enslave other races to do things for them, so they needed to eliminate some powerful cultivators who resisted them. Needless to say, the existence of the behind-the-scenes world didn't need to be mentioned, because the destruction of the era and the birth of the era were caused by them. But sometimes, if too many experts were born in an era, it would pose a great threat to them. Naturally, they had to prevent this threat from appearing. They had to completely nip this threat in the bud before it truly appeared. This was because the sentient life forms of this epoch were simply too powerful. The experts among them included Pangu, Xingtian, Niuwa, Hongmeng, Hongjun, and so on. They were simply too powerful, which was why the 3 powers were alarmed. Therefore, these 3 forces joined forces to create this great war between sentient sacred spirits. After this war, most of the experts of this era fell. Then, this era turned from a golden age of cultivation to a relative low point. Lin Feng originally thought that the sentient lifeforms were schemed against very badly. They killed each other and suffered heavy losses. In the end, when they came back to their senses, their strength was extremely limited. Then, the remnant races of the epoch, the alien lifeforms, and the mastermind behind the scenes struck like lightning. In the end, the era of Sciention lifeforms ended and countless Sciention lifeforms fell. But now, that didn't seem to be the case. At the very beginning, the Sciention lifeforms had indeed engaged in small-scale battles. But later on, the Sciention lifeforms seemed to have discovered the hidden mastermind behind all of this. Thus, these Sciention lifeforms banded together, erupting into an extremely bitter war with these three powers. This was completely different from what was recorded in the Taoist scriptures, where the Sciention lifeforms were ultimately annihilated due to internal strife. At this moment, Lin Feng found himself in the middle of an ancient battlefield. Lin Feng saw an extremely tall cultivator in the distance carrying an enormous stone stele and walking over step by step. That cultivator was actually a cultivator from the demon race. Lin Feng was quite surprised. Most of the time, the demon race cultivators seemed to represent the evil side. That was because they were very ambitious. They'd launched many great wars in order to rule the multiverse. For example, Great Demon Yu's brother, Great Demon Sky, had launched such a war in the past. It had caused great suffering. But when the great war between Sciention lifeforms broke out, many devil race cultivators participated in the battle. Moreover, these devil race cultivators were also on the side of the cultivators of this epoch. The demon cultivator in Lin Feng's line of sight was the same. He was a demon expert born in this era. Hefting the fused stone stele, he quickly charged into the rolling black mist in the distance. End of chapter. Chapter 56-70. In the end, this unknown expert also died in this battle. His blood stained the two steles. Even though countless years had passed, his blood hadn't been completely erased by time. Now, his blood had completely fused with the steles, and from now on, they couldn't be separated anymore. All the images disappeared. Lin Feng's godly awareness came back to reality. Lin Feng looked at the two steles in front of him and couldn't help but sigh. He hadn't thought that the actual situation of the battle between the Sciention experts would be like this. It was completely different from what he had understood before. This battle was really too tragic, but it was also because of this battle that the surviving races of the epoch, the creatures from the world of the mastermind, and the creatures from the other domain had suffered great losses. Otherwise, these three forces would have been even more powerful. If that had been the case, it would have been too difficult to deal with these three forces. Basically, there was no hope. But now, there was still some hope. Lin Feng got up and walked to the two steles. He gently touched the blood on the steles. Lin Feng said, "Senior, your will has fused with the steles. So now, no one can activate the steles. Senior, my wish is to control the 18 steles and kill the mastermind, the surviving races of the epoch, and the creatures from the other domain. Let this world become a world where everyone is a dragon. If Senior still wants to continue fighting, then let's fight side by side." After Lin Feng said this, an extremely terrifying will to fight emerged from Lin Feng's body. The blood on the two steles seemed to have sensed Lin Feng's will to fight. The blood flowed rapidly, as if it had its own consciousness. An extremely powerful will to fight gushed out of the blood. The will to fight surged out of the blood and fused with Lin Feng's will to fight. When the two wills fused together, Lin Feng immediately felt that the two steles had a very strange resonance with him. Lin Feng had obtained the recognition of the two blood-stained heaven-shaking stone steles. Lin Feng felt that he should be able to refine these two heaven-shocking steles now. As a result, Lin Feng's magic power continuously gushed out and poured into the two heaven-shaking stone steles. Before long, Lin Feng successfully refined two pieces of the heaven-shocking stele. After refining the two steles, Lin Feng immediately showed an extremely excited expression. He now had 4 steles. Once the 4 heaven-shaking stone steles were activated, the battle that would erupt was simply unimaginable. Lin Feng was relying on the might of these 4 heaven-suppressing stone steles. Even an expert at the peak of the Sage Realm would be killed by Lin Feng. Lin Feng dared to fight against an expert who was close to surpassing the Sage Realm. Lin Feng put away the 4 heaven-shaking stone steles and then left. Seeing Lin Feng return, the ancient Emperor of Mystery asked. Young friend, how did it go? Lin Feng smiled and said, My luck is not bad. I managed to refine the 2 heaven-shaking stone steels. Hearing Lin Feng's words, the ancient Emperor of Mystery smiled and said, Young friend, you are indeed a person with monstrous luck. Congratulations, young friend, Lin Feng said. I have to thank Senior for letting me try to refine the 2 heaven-shaking stone steels. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to obtain them. The two chatted for a while before Lin Feng bade farewell and returned to his residence. Lin Feng had not had the time to refine the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's origin energy when he had obtained it. Lin Feng planned to refine the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's origin energy to raise his cultivation level. Lin Feng took out the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's origin energy. As an expert at the peak of the Sage Realm, the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's origin energy was very powerful and could greatly raise a cultivator's cultivation level. Of course, the exact amount of increase depended on the individual's situation. Some cultivators with little accumulation might be able to raise their cultivation level by many realms. Some cultivators with great accumulation might only be able to raise their cultivation level by 1 or 2 realms. Some might not even be able to raise their cultivation level at all. Lin Feng really couldn't wait to become stronger. He was going to have an intense battle soon, and Lin Feng really wanted to become stronger. That way, his chances of winning would be greater. In the next 3 days, Lin Feng continued to refine the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's origin energy. Lin Feng had completely refined the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor's origin energy. Lin Feng's cultivation level had also broken through from the first firmament of the Golden Immortal Realm to the third firmament of the Golden Immortal Realm. Lin Feng was extremely satisfied with the 2 consecutive breakthroughs. After all, Lin Feng's accumulation was too powerful. It was extremely difficult for him to break through. Being able to break through 2 realms at once was indeed an extremely great improvement. Lin Feng's soul power and physical body had also been greatly improved. However, this improvement did not allow Lin Feng's soul and physical body to completely transform. This was because Lin Feng's soul and physical body were both at the peak of the Sage King realm. If he broke through again, he would be crossing a major realm. It was extremely difficult to break through a major realm. At the same time, the 3 quasi-transcendents led the cultivators from the 3 major forces to Panyan Lake. These people did not hide their auras at all. Therefore, many people were alarmed. A large number of cultivators followed from afar to watch the show. After the 3 quasi-transcendents led the cultivators from the 3 major forces into Panyan Lake. The cultivators who followed them also entered Panyan Lake one after another. Not long after, the cultivators who had been searching outside returned to the island. They told everyone the news. After hearing the news, Lin Feng immediately sneered. Lin Feng said, I'll go with Senior Profound Ancient Emperor to deal with those people. The rest of you, stay on the island and don't leave without permission. Then, Lin Feng and Profound Ancient Emperor flew outside. Profound Ancient Emperor had recovered quite well recently, and had recovered a lot of his strength. With an expert like Profound Ancient Emperor helping him deal with the experts from the 3 major forces, he could share some of the pressure. After a short time, the strong cultivators of the 3 influential groups arrived. When they saw Lin Feng and the Ancient Emperor of the Supreme Mystery, they were surprised because Lin Feng and the Ancient Emperor of the Supreme Mystery had been waiting for them. This made them very confused. They didn't know what Lin Feng and Profound Ancient Emperor were planning. However, the experts from the 3 major forces were extremely confident in their own strength. Therefore, they didn't put Lin Feng and Profound Ancient Emperor in their eyes. In their eyes, in front of absolute strength, all schemes and plots were like paper tigers that could be broken with a single poke. End of chapter. Chapter 5671. Are you the one who killed the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor? The quasi-surpassing realm expert of the Qingwu people stared coldly at Lin Feng. He had received news that a young cultivator had suddenly appeared and killed the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor, as well as all the experts he had brought with him. In fact, Lin Feng had deliberately spread the news. Lin Feng had been hiding in the dark, acting as the mastermind behind the scenes. He had wanted these people to come quickly so that he could kill them all in one fell swoop. Lin Feng did not have a good impression of these people at all. Lin Feng especially hated the Qinwu people. No matter what, the Qinwu people were still living beings of this epoch. Now, they had actually joined forces with the mastermind behind the scenes. It was really detestable. If he did not kill them, he would not be able to quell the anger in his heart. Lin Feng sneered. That's right. I killed the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor. Soon, all of you will go to hell to accompany the Golden Crow Ancient Emperor. After hearing Lin Feng's words, the group of people's faces became extremely gloomy. When they looked at Lin Feng, their eyes were filled with killing intent. They could not wait to cut Lin Feng into pieces. Kid, you are really too arrogant. Even if you have some ability, do you think you can deal with so many of us? Don't forget that we have 3 quasi-surpassing realm experts on our side. Experts of this level are not something you can imagine. They can kill you like a dog. The quasi-surpassing realm expert of the epic remnant race said coldly. His ice-cold eyes were filled with disdain when he looked at Lin Feng. Obviously, this person did not take Lin Feng seriously at all. However, Lin Feng could understand this person. After all, his cultivation level was not high in their eyes. Said Lin Feng. Then let's see who's stronger. After saying that, Lin Feng activated all the restrictive formations in the area. All kinds of formation runes intertwined in the void. All the restrictive formations and the killing formation set up by Lin Feng all emitted an extremely terrifying aura. After sensing the might of those restrictions and formations, their expressions finally changed. Because the restrictions in this place were scattered, it was difficult for them to pose much of a threat to powerful cultivators like them. However, if the restrictions were to be combined, then the power of the restrictions would be terrifying. At that moment, they could clearly sense that not only had the power of the barriers fused together, but there was also a new power pouring in. In other words, not only had the other party fused the barriers together, but they had also set up a new killing formation on top of the barriers. This was something they had not expected at all. According to their understanding, the Great Mystery Ancient Emperor definitely did not have this ability. If the Great Mystery Ancient Emperor did not have this ability, then it meant that the young human cultivator in front of them had done it. It sounded very unbelievable because these methods were really too heaven-defying. How could a young human cultivator do something so heaven-defying? But this was the truth. Even if they did not believe it, the truth was right in front of them. They had to believe it. The cultivators of the 3 great powers were already a little chaotic. In the face of such a terrifying restrictive formation, they did not have the confidence to do anything. At that moment, the quasi-transcendence realm expert from the ancient demon race said in a deep voice, "Everyone, don't panic. With the 3 of us here, no formation can hurt you." As soon as he finished speaking, all kinds of attacks were released. Those terrifying attacks were all aimed at the cultivators of the 3 great powers. When those attacks came, many people died on the spot. The quasi-transcendence realm expert from the ancient demon race had just said that with the 3 of them here, everyone would be fine. Then, so many people were killed by the restrictive formation activated by Lin Feng. It was really a slap in the face. The quasi-transcendence realm expert from the ancient demon race had an extremely ugly expression on his face. This was just a greeting gift from Lin Feng. The power of these restrictive formations had not been fully released yet. This was because Lin Feng and the others had not increased the power of these restrictive formations yet. Lin Feng looked at the Great Mystery Ancient Emperor and said, "Senior, go to the Extreme Formation Core and guard it." The Great Mystery Ancient Emperor nodded and quickly flew to the Extreme Formation Core that Lin Feng had set up. This time, Lin Feng had set up 2 main array cores. These 2 array cores were divided into Yin and Yang. Lin Feng guarded the Yang array core while the Great Mystery Ancient Emperor guarded the Yin array core. The division of labor between the 2 of them was very clear. After the Great Mystery Ancient Emperor entered the Extreme Yin Formation Core, Lin Feng summoned the Book of the Dead. All 56 Sage Realm Undead flew out, and quickly flew to the array cores they were guarding. On the other hand, Lin Feng entered the extreme yang array core. Everyone entered the formation cores that they were guarding. Then, they activated the Death Trap Grand Formation and all kinds of restrictions. Instantly, the power of the Death Trap Grand Formation and all kinds of restrictions increased crazily. This kind of increase was simply shocking. Even the three quasi-transcendence realm experts felt the power of these restrictive formations. They could not help but suck in a breath of cold air because these attacks were really too powerful. Anyone who faced such a powerful restrictive formation would feel their scalp go numb. As for the others, their faces turned pale at this moment. Of course, although the attacks released by the restrictive formations were very terrifying, the cultivation of the three quasi-transcendence realm experts was too strong. Therefore, these restrictive formations could not hurt them in a short time. However, the others found it difficult to resist these attacks. The three quasi-transcendence realm experts had brought a total of more than 5,000 experts this time. Under the attack of these restrictive formations, more than half of these experts died in a short time. The sea was dyed red with blood. Chapter 5672. Seeing their experts dying one after another, the three quasi-transcendents trembled in anger. So many experts had been killed in such a short period of time. These people were the experts of their clans. Losing so many experts was a huge blow to their clans. More importantly, they had no way to stop this. The situation would only get more troublesome. Soon, their losses would be even more severe. The cultivators of the three major powers were extremely pale. The true immortals were in a better situation. The pseudo-immortals could not survive the terrifying attacks at all. They could only resist for a while if they had a powerful defensive treasure. If they did not have a powerful defensive treasure, they would not be able to resist for long. The experts of the three major powers were still dying rapidly. Not long after, more than 1,000 of the remaining 2,000 people died. In the end, only a few hundred people were left. These few hundred people were basically true immortals or cultivators with powerful defensive treasures. At this moment, the power of the formation was still increasing. Obviously, the formation's power had not reached its peak yet. The three quasi-transcendents were furious. Kinwood people's quasi-transcendents roared angrily. "Little bastard, I'm going to cut you into pieces. I'm going to send your soul into purgatory so that you can never be reincarnated. Otherwise, I won't be able to relieve the hatred in my heart." He had already locked onto Lin Feng's position. After cursing Lin Feng, he flew towards Lin Feng. The quasi-transcendents of the Ancient Demons clan and the Epic Lost clan also flew towards Lin Feng. They were also extremely angry and wanted to kill Lin Feng to vent their anger. However, Lin Feng did not give them the chance to do so. The array formation here was so powerful that all kinds of attacks were directed at the three quasi-transcendents. In the face of so many terrifying attacks, the three quasi-transcendents had no choice but to resist them. While they were resisting these attacks, they were immediately held back. Therefore, it was extremely unrealistic for them to get close to Lin Feng in a short period of time. At this moment, many of the remaining few hundred people were beginning to be unable to hold on. For example, there were many cultivators who used their defensive magic treasures to resist the attacks of the formation. Their defensive magic treasures were destroyed one after another, and as their defensive magic treasures were destroyed, those cultivators soon died under the attacks of the formation. Even though the true celestial cultivators were extremely strong, the deployment spells were too powerful. Lin Feng and the others were also there to activate the deployment spells. All of them added together were equivalent to 58 Saint Realm experts. With so many Saint Realm experts activating the restriction formation here, it was impossible for them to escape. How frightening was that! Therefore, the true immortals were gradually unable to hold on. More and more people were dying. More than 5,000 people died in less than an hour. There were only a dozen or so people left, and by the true immortals. Although there was still a huge gap between these Sage Realm experts and the three transcendents, there was still a large gap between them and the three transcendents. But that didn't mean that they weren't strong. On the contrary, they were very powerful. It was not easy to kill them with the formation in a short period of time. However, Lin Feng took out his 5 ancient weapons-grade treasures. When the true immortals were suppressed, Lin Feng activated the 5 ancient weapons-grade treasures to kill them. Every time, he focused all his strength on one person. The first true immortal was quickly killed. Then, the 5 ancient weapons-grade treasures attacked the second true immortal. The second true immortal was also killed. Lin Feng's method was very direct and violent. However, the true immortals had no way to resolve the dangerous situation they were in. The 3 true immortals were extremely angry. They wanted to help, but they were held back. Naturally, they had no way to help the true immortals. "Mercy, mercy, we are willing to submit." Some of the true immortals began to beg for mercy. However, Lin Feng did not care about them at all. Lin Feng wanted to kill them. If he could kill them, Lin Feng could collect their origins and refine them. When the time came, his cultivation would be greatly improved. If he could successfully kill the 3 transcendent level experts, he would be able to kill them. After collecting their origins, Lin Feng felt that he might be able to break through to the true immortal realm. If he could break through to the true immortal realm, then he would break through to the true immortal realm. Once Lin Feng broke through to the true immortal realm, with Lin Feng's powerful accumulation, how powerful would his battle strength be after breaking through to the true immortal realm? Lin Feng was looking forward to this day. Lin Feng used the same method to kill more than a dozen true immortals. Then, he collected their origins. The origins of more than a dozen true immortals were extremely precious. The only pity was that there were no true immortals at the peak of the true immortal realm. The strongest true immortal realm cultivator was only at the 7th heaven of the true immortal realm. Although their origins were very powerful, there was still a big gap between them and a true immortal realm cultivator. But there were 3 strong cultivators who had almost surpassed the cultivation level, so Lin Feng's main goal was to obtain their original strengths. Ha ha! The profound ancient emperor could not help but laugh. Previously, countless people from the profound ancient emperor's bloodline had died tragically. The profound ancient emperor felt as if a knife was being twisted in his heart. It was extremely painful. Now that he saw so many experts from the 3 major powers being killed, the profound ancient emperor naturally felt very happy. Chapter 5673. Lin Feng looked coldly at the 3 quasi-transcendents and said, "Now only the 3 of you are left. Are you ready to die?" The 3 quasi-transcendents had ugly expressions on their faces. They didn't know what to do because Lin Feng's deployment spells were too terrifying. If it were just the formations and restrictions, they would not be able to withstand the attacks. The 3 quasi-transcendents were not so worried. More importantly, Lin Feng, the ancient emperor of Taixuan, and the 56 saint-level undead were working together to activate the formations and restrictions. That was the scariest thing. With so many of them activating the formations and restrictions, the power of the formations and restrictions increased by dozens of times. It was too difficult to defend against them. Moreover, Lin Feng still had 5 ancient weapon-grade artifacts. The 3 quasi-transcendents had seen how terrifying Lin Feng's 5 ancient weapon-grade artifacts were. Even if they were to face Lin Feng's 5 ancient weapon-grade artifacts, they would still find it difficult to deal with them. "You're strong, but if you want to kill us, you'll have to pay a heavy price. Besides, if the 3 of us fight with our lives on the line, even if we die, we'll drag you down with us. Since that's the case, why don't we start a negotiation? What do you think?" In fact, the words of the ancient demon clan's quasi-transcendent powerhouse made some sense. After all, at their level, it was easy for them to drag others down with them when they were about to die. However, Lin Feng was not afraid of such a threat because the formations and restrictions here were powerful enough. Even if they wanted to use some desperate methods, it was impossible for them to succeed. Of course, The reason why Lin Feng was so confident wasn't just because of the powerful deployment spells. There was another important reason. Lin Feng already had 4 heaven-shaking steels, and he had yet to take them out. If he took out the 4 heaven-shaking steels, they would be able to support the formations and restrictions. In addition, he also had 5 ancient weapon-grade artifacts. Besides, and Lin Feng's 14 stone swords. The stone sword countered the epic remnant race. Among the 3 quasi-transcendent experts, the expert from the epic lost race was a creature that had transcended epics. Therefore, Lin Feng's 14 stone swords were very effective against this person. The first target that Lin Feng locked onto was the quasi-surpassing expert of the epic lost race. Lin Feng took out the 14 stone swords and the 4 stone steels. With the help of the ancient Emperor of Mystery and the 56 dead spirits, he activated all of these powerful treasures. Then, he charged towards the quasi-transcendent level expert of the lost race of the epic. Since the 3 quasi-transcendents were separated by these formations, they were fighting alone at this moment. Then, all kinds of formations and restrictions attacked the lost epic race expert. In this way, the experts of the surviving clans didn't just have to resist the attacks of the restrictions, they had to resist the attacks of the 5 ancient weapons, 14 stone swords, and 4 heaven-shaking stone steels. How could he resist so many attacks by himself? Although his cultivation was incomparably tyrannical. Facing so many attacks, he couldn't hold on any longer. Many bone-deep wounds appeared on his body. Those wounds were caused by the stone swords when he was suppressed by the formations, 4 heaven-shaking stone steels, and the 5 ancient weapons. The stone swords had caused too much damage to him. It couldn't be helped. Everything had a counter. Who asked the lost race of the epic to be countered by the stone swords? If it were other treasures, even if they hit him, they might not be able to break through his defense. However, it was too easy for the stone swords to break through his defense. Seeing the quasi-transcendent level expert of the lost race of the epic suffering such serious injuries, the other 2 quasi-transcendent level experts looked extremely gloomy. If the quasi-transcendent level expert of the lost race of the epic was killed, only the 2 of them would be left. At that time, they would be in an extremely dangerous situation. Therefore, the 2 quasi-transcendent level experts wanted to meet up with the quasi-transcendent level expert of the lost race of the epic. Lin Feng knew what they were thinking. Therefore, Lin Feng had been paying attention to the other 2 quasi-transcendent level experts. Although the 2 of them wanted to go over, they were stopped by the powerful restrictions. They couldn't go over at all. At this time, the quasi-transcendent level expert of the lost race of the epic was getting more and more injured. It seemed that he wouldn't be able to hold on any longer. I can't accept this. I can't accept this. I'm a transcendent level existence. How can I die? I can't die. I don't want to die. The quasi-transcendent level expert was already speaking incoherently. He didn't want to die. He wanted to live. However, at this time, no one could save him. Lin Feng's gaze was extremely cold. All kinds of powerful attacks continued to bombard the quasi-transcendent level expert of the lost race of the epic. The quasi-transcendent level expert of the lost race of the epic couldn't withstand the attacks. In the end, his body exploded and he died on the spot. Lin Feng directly collected his source energy. Lin Feng finally obtained the source energy of a quasi-transcendent level expert. This was the first quasi-transcendent level expert that Lin Feng had obtained. Lin Feng couldn't help but feel extremely happy. Although the source energy of those Sage Realm experts was very powerful, to be honest, it didn't have a significant effect on Lin Feng. This was because Lin Feng had a very high requirement for the source energy. However, the source energy of quasi-transcendent level experts was very useful to Lin Feng. The key to whether or not Lin Feng could break through to the Sage Immortal Realm depended on how much the source energy of the 3 quasi-transcendent level experts could increase his cultivation base. After the quasi-transcendent level expert of the lost race of the epic was killed, there were only 2 quasi-transcendent level experts left. Lin Feng immediately locked on to the quasi-transcendent level expert of the Kinwu people. This person had colluded with the lost race of the epic and the ancient demon race. It was really detestable. It wouldn't be enough even if he died 1,000 or 10,000 times. Therefore, compared to the quasi-transcendent level expert of the ancient demon race, Lin Feng wanted to kill the quasi-transcendent level expert of the Qinwu people first. Lin Feng, the ancient emperor of Taixuan, and the 56 departed spirits controlled the 4 heaven-shaking stone steels, 14 stone swords, and 5 ancient weapon-level supreme treasures to attack the quasi-transcendent level expert of the Qinwu people. End of chapter. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.